Iowa State has their hands full, but they do have some weapons. The third member of our broadcast team, Eric Clemens, is on the sideline. Eric?
All right, Ron, Iowa State on the other side of the field. We already talked about their success in the ground game, but they know to a man that Nebraska will be the toughest defense they've faced so far. They expect the Black Shirts to take some measures to shut down Darren Davis early on. What the Cyclones have to do in response is to come up with some big plays in the passing game. Now, their top 3 wide receivers average about 23 yards every time they touch the football, but their big play guy so far this season has been J.J. Moses. Look for him in motion a lot and to run and catch the football. Also, look for us to keep a chart on how many plays of 20 yards or more the Cyclones make in the passing game. Coach Dan McCarney says they'll need more than a few to have a chance tonight. Ron?
You're absolutely right, Eric. In fact, Artie Gigantino, Dan McCarney told us last night he wants to make this a 15-round fight. He said, we've been knocked out in the first or second round so far in the last couple of years in his game plan.
And he wants some early success. Either stop Nebraska's offense, get a turnover, score. He's also got to have his football team handle any adversity that might take place. And lastly, he's got to play 60 minutes of football.
And for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, their head coach, Frank Solich, his game plan.
Number one is to take care of the football. No turnovers is what Nebraska's been preaching all week. The second thing, the linebackers have got to do a great job tonight of filling their gaps, because all Iowa State does is run reverses and cutbacks. And lastly, they got to dominate special teams. Nebraska is very good on special teams. Iowa State's had a lot of problems this year. It'll be interesting, the special teams matchup.
Well, Iowa State showed great concern about their special teams last night in their walkthrough. Coach McCarney said they have been very inconsistent, to say the least. And we are just about set. J.J. Moses set to receive the opening kickoff, and it's a boomer. Moses 10 yards deep, and he's not going to part that offense. But Iowa State will begin 1st and 10 from their own 20. Iowa State #1 rushing offense in the NCAA, led by quarterback Sage Rosenfeld. He is a very sound quarterback, completes better than 55% of his passes. The coaches don't want him to play Superman tonight. They just want him to play the offense, stay within their game plan. And this Nebraska defense is a tough challenge for Dan McCarney's offense.
Dan McCarney, though, has done a great job this week of mentally preparing his football team for this environment.
3 wide receivers to the right, with Chris Anthony the farthest one out. Nebraska showing 5 men on the line of scrimmage. Now they move up 6. They keep it on the ground with Darren Davis straight ahead. Picks up maybe 5 on the play. Let's take a look at that Iowa State offensive line. They're led by Bill Marsoff at left tackle. He is one of the 5 original recruits of Dan McCarney left on this team. In fact, he was one of the first recruits for Dan. And at wide receiver, keep an eye on junior Chris Anthony. He led the team in receptions last year. Only has 3 in 1999. He needs to step up tonight against this Nebraska secondary. Second down, we'll call it 5. Ball on the 25-yard line. Mike Banks in motion. On the option, Rosenfeld's to Davis. He'll have the first down as he makes his way up to the 35-yard line, a pickup of 10 for the nation's leading rusher. And that Nebraska defense, #4 total defense in the NCAA, #6 against the rush. They're led by nose tackle Steve Warren, tied for the team in sacks. He's a senior out of Springfield, Missouri, the linebacker spot. The junior out of Rockford, Illinois, Carlos Pope, leads the team in tackles for a loss. Out of the secondary, Mike Brown will be manning that rover position once again. He is their leading tackler, and he is also their best tackler. 1st and 10 for Iowa State. 2 plays, 15 yards. Rosenfels will now try from the shotgun. Moses in motion. Rosenfels putting his first pass up, and he's overthrown. Intended for number 86, Chris Anthony, the junior out of Bettendorf, Iowa.
One of the things that Iowa State does on offense so well is a lot of misdirection. They're going to fake a back into the line of scrimmage, fake a reverse, do a lot of bootlegs, do a lot of play-action type passes. When you look at Sage Rosenfeld, you say, hey, wow, can he handle the football? He is a master of deception with the football and his ball handling.
He is a very exceptional athlete, probably one of the true superstars in Iowa high school history. Moses again in motion. A little razzle-dazzle reverse to Michael Brantley, looking for a block as he gets up to the 40, and that is where he is dragged down. Carlos Pope coming from that middle linebacker spot to make the stop. And you have to think, Artie, this is the kind of game where Dan McCarney has to take everything from the cupboard, go ahead and throw it out on the field.
And a lot of from the cupboard should be misdirection to try to fool this great speed team of Nebraska on defense. And you just saw Polk run from inside out. That's an indication of the great speed of Nebraska's defense. Dan McCartney is fired up for this game, and misdirection is a big part of his package tonight.
78,000, very loud. 3rd down and 5 for the Cyclones. The misdirection again. Rosenfels looks to throw it out on the flat. Penalty flag is thrown. Pass was intended for Mike Banks, the tight end. It may be holding against Iowa State. It was thrown in the backfield. Our referee tonight, Hal Dowden. It is against Nebraska. Personal foul.
Tony Ortiz, number 37, and Kyle Vandenbosch, number 83, both hit Rosenfels as he threw the football.
You know, this is something Frank Solich was very concerned about. Penalties. They didn't have a turnover last week against Oklahoma State.
Personal foul against the defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
But even in practice, Artie, when you and I were here on Thursday, they bring officials in. They're dressed in full regalia. They throw the penalty flags. He said, we're doing everything we can to stop the penalty.
Yeah, and it's been a killer for Frank because he's had 35 so far this year for 325 yards. But I've always said, Ron, and we've talked about this, it's not the penalty, it's when it occurs. And it's a killer for your football team when a personal foul is called on 3rd down and 5, and you've stopped them. So I think that's what Frank Solich is angry about in reference to penalties.
Well, they were the least penalized team in the conference last year, and that might be the reverse in 1999. 1st and 10, ball on the Nebraska 45-yard line, opening drive of the ball game. Played just about 2 minutes. You'll see a lot of people in motion. Rosenfels tucks it, keeps it to the 30, to the 20, down to the 19-yard line. Pickup of 26 on the play from the junior from Iowa. You know, he did this in the first game of the year, and it went for a 52-yard touchdown. This was good for 26.
And he is averaging almost 6 yards per carry. Now watch him right here. He's going to drop back, and he's going to take off right up into that alley there. He does a good job of looking down the field, but you know what? Look at these people right here blocking. That is a called play. That was a quarterback draw. That was not a scramble.
And the black shirts, courtesy of the penalty, beginning to bend a little bit. 1st and 10 on the 19, in the red zone. Nothing doing for Darren Davis. Kyle Vandenbosch, who missed the Oklahoma State game because of an ankle injury, looking back in true form tonight. Sophomore out of Larchwood, Iowa.
And that sophomore is arguably the best defensive end on this Nebraska team, and the coaches think he is the next great defensive end here for the University of Nebraska. You know, Charlie McBride, the defensive coordinator, calls him the mad German who never smiles.
Well, look at a picture.
I know, but he plays really hard. You gotta love guys like this.
He's got a WWF look about him, doesn't he? 2nd down and 11 after the loss of 1. Rosenfels on the option. Davis plants the foot, able to make a little lemonade out of some lemons, and we have a penalty flag thrown at the 22-yard line.
Darren Davis in the open field can cut back on a dime, and that's exactly what he did that time in front of 2 Nebraska defenders. But all for naught because of a holding penalty.
You know, he was telling us last night this new synthetic surface here on Tom Osborne Field in Memorial Stadium. He didn't like it. He said it doesn't give enough for him.
Yeah, he'll like it if he gets 200 yards tonight.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if he gets about 50 yards,
Foul. Still 2nd down.
Well, it'll still be 2nd down, but Dan McCartney's team picks up their first penalty of the evening. You know, McCartney, when he took over this job, he told us 4 years ago that his friends told him, you're committing coaching suicide. But he believed in his plan, his players and his coaches, and he's made that effort every year and has improved where he's competitive.
And his administration believed in him because he's been there for 4 years, now his 5th year. They've been patient at Iowa State.
On 2nd and 23, they give it to Davis. Has a little bit of room. Inside the 30, down to the 28 before Carlos Polk comes up with his 2nd tackle of the evening. Bring up a big 3rd down play, which opponents of Nebraska have not tasted much success. And you can see what Darren Davis did briefly the first few games of the year. He is trying to become the first Iowa State running back to have 1,000 yards in 3 consecutive years. His big brother Troy didn't even do that.
You were talking about third downs. Coming into the game, Iowa State was 46% successful on third down attempts. That's almost half, which is an excellent percentage.
Well, Sage Rosenfels is going to do the smart thing, call a timeout. Didn't like what he saw in that Nebraska defense, and he's going to come over and talk to Pete Hainer, the offensive coordinator, and Dan McCarney. And we'll step aside. 10:37 left to play in the opening quarter. We are scoreless in Lincoln. Is the state capital. We are scoreless in the first. Just about 3.5 minutes gone by, along with Eric Clemens and Artie Gigantino. I'm Ron Thulin. You see the black shirts trying to bend but not break. First possession of the ball game for Iowa State. And they are facing a 3rd down and 19 from the 28-yard line.
Nebraska's got their nickel back, Joe Walker, number 25, in the game. He's at the top of the screen.
Brantley in motion. Penalty flag. Everybody jumping around on the line of scrimmage.
Now, what happened that time is Nebraska lined up in their nickel defense and was coming with the blitz. And that's what caused Iowa State to delay a little bit on offense.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Well, that doesn't help Dan McCarney's cause.
And what it does, too, it gets the crowd going and gets the crowd back into the game because they got a little quiet on that long quarterback draw.
Rosenfels picked up 26 on that play, but since then they've been going backwards. A nice run by Darren Davis, offset by a penalty, and then a couple of penalties, and now they're looking at 3rd and 24. Davis behind Rosenfels.
And Nebraska's just going to play a normal defense here. It's nickel, but I don't believe they're going to blitz. They're just going to cover.
This is the 10th play of the opening drive. Nebraska bringing 7. Rosenfels drops the football, and he is down at the 37-yard line. And it'll be Nebraska's ball. Joe Walker came up with it.
I was wrong. Walker came off the corner like he did the play before and just does an excellent job of knocking the ball out of the quarterback's hands from the backside. Rosenfels never had a chance to see number 25, Joe Walker, the sophomore out of Arlington, Texas, the junior out of Arlington, Texas. Boy, is he a good player.
Boy,
they play a lot of nickel at Nebraska, nickel defense, because he should be a starter. And they can't get him on the field unless they go to nickel.
And Eric Crouch, the starting quarterback. 6'1", the sophomore out of Omaha. He is the major running threat. This time straight up the middle with Dan Alexander, who had 110 yards versus Iowa State last year. Let's take a look at the rest of the Nebraska offense. This offense is really hitting their stride. Russ Hochstein at right guard. He is second in the team in pancake blocks, and Dan Alexander at I-back might play a little fullback tonight, and he'll share that I-back spot with Carell Buckhalter. And he had the big run just a moment ago. 1st and 10 for the Huskers. Ball right at midfield. The option. Crouch keeps it, pitches it out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Pickup of 5. Eric Crouch, when he has that ability to run the football, he just caused the Iowa State defense so many problems. And they are number 5 in total defense, number 2 in the nation in pass efficiency. Nigel Tharp is at nose guard. He's going to replace the injured Ryan Harklaw. Big loss for the Cyclones. Dave Birchka, the senior from West Des Moines, anchors that middle linebacking spot. And Ative Austin, the redshirt freshman, will be tested at the left quarterback position, replacing the injured Jamarcus Powers. So with Harklaw and Powers out, big voids in that Iowa State defense. Euler and Alexander in the I formation. They give it to Tyrone Euler, the redshirt freshman out of Battle Creek, Nebraska. Reggie Hayward on the stop. There's Joe Walker, number 25, had the fumble recovery.
And there were some rumors around this campus that he was going to play a little bit of offense too this year because of his skills as a running back. And I don't know if Charlie McBride, the defensive coordinator, wants to give him up because he's so valuable to this defensive football team.
Well, we were talking about Crouch. He just means so much when you have a quarterback that's able to take the pounding that he takes as an option quarterback. He's their leading rusher on 3rd and 2. Straight ahead, Alexander gets hit hard, but he still rambles his way across the 40 down to the 39-yard line.
That's why you like a 6', 245-pound tailback, because would-be tacklers, bop right off of him.
Got a pretty good block from the fullback on this play.
Yeah, Tyrone Euler, number 35, does a great job of taking the linebacker and knocking him inside, which opens the hole for Alexander to get up inside. When you look at Alexander, though, he doesn't look like a tailback. He looks like a fullback or a linebacker.
And he may see some time at that fullback spot. Crouch will put it up for the first time, going deep, has a man, right corner of the end zone, tipped away at the last second, intended for Bobby Newcomb. Coverage was by A.T. Austin, the redshirt freshman. We thought he would be tested, and he was. Give him an A on the first test.
Frank Solich is the play caller. He's opened up this offense by throwing the ball deep on 1st and 10. The ball is a little bit underthrown. Bobby Newcomb had to come back for the football, but A.T. Austin, I thought, made a great play of getting up in the air and knocking the ball away. But the ball was still a little bit underthrown.
2nd down and 10 for the Huskers. Austin out of Tarpon Springs, Florida, was a highly recruited running back. Straight ahead with the fullback Euler, penalty flag is thrown. You may want to mention history so far in 1999 says neither defense likes to give up a lot of points. In fact, Iowa State's defense has only given up 1 touchdown in the first half so far this year. Nebraska only 10 points in the first half this year. That's amazing. And again, Iowa State penalized.
Offside, on the defense, 5-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
What the official told Coach McCarney was somebody on the far side lined up offside. That can happen, but defensive players have got to look to the inside. You got to look to the inside and make sure you're lined up. I believe it's this guy right here, the left defensive end, up to the top, gets lined up offside. That's number 91, Robert Bannon.
2nd down and 5 from the 33, closing in on 8 minutes left here in the first quarter. Crouch will keep it. Big hole. Look out. Inside the 10, down to the 7-yard line. A pickup of 26 yards for Eric Crouch. That is Eric Crouch's running ability and his heads-up play.
It's called the midline option. He fakes inside, and the quarterback follows Dan Alexander, number 38, up inside. It's a new type of option play. Now watch what happens here with Crouch. Our telestrator's not working, but he's going to fake up inside to the fullback, follow the guard, and follow the tailback up inside. That is called a quarterback midline option or quarterback isolation.
The numbers on Crouch, 7 rushing touchdowns so far. Keeps it again, looking for the corner, pitches, touchdown, Nebraska. Dan Alexander with his 4th rushing touchdown of the year. Alexander had his coming out party last year versus the Cyclones, and he gets Iowa State on the board with 8:02 left in the first, and for Dan McCarney, only the 2nd touchdown given up in the first half this year.
Vintage Nebraska offense now. Loosen you up a little bit with the pass and run the ball down the field.
Josh Brown, the freshman out of Fayette, Oklahoma, just outside of Tulsa with the extra point. It is good. And Nebraska has struck first. Alexander scores 7-0 Huskers. Part of the most impressive press box in all of college football, the new press box here in Lincoln, Nebraska, where the Cornhuskers have opened up a 7-0 lead on Iowa State in the first quarter. J.J. Moses set to receive the kick. And again, Hayden Felt drives it deep. Moses will take it from 2 yards deep. Right side, still on his feet. Penalty flag is thrown as he crosses the 20 up to the 23-yard line. Justin Smith on the tackle. Holding call, however, will go against Iowa State. And again, they're victimized by penalties. Already that has to frustrate Dan McCarney because your margin of error in Lincoln is so slim anyway.
Absolutely, especially in the kicking game because you give up great field position.
Holding on the return team. After this, it should go 1st down.
When you look at Eric Crouch, you look at a young man who makes great decisions. This time he follows his tailback up inside on the midline option and makes a great run. Now he's going to line up the triple stack eye here. He's going to run on the corner, and he's going to make an outstanding decision by dishing the ball off to the tailback, Dan Alexander. When you look at Crouch, you say, hey, this guy is the engineer of this Nebraska option offense, and he does it so well.
Davis, the lone setback. Two wide receivers to the left. Iowa State with their back to the wall, and Rosenfels keep it after he cut off to Davis, who was hit immediately. For a Dr. Pepper game break, let's send it to our College Football Saturday studios and Kevin Frazier.
Guys, big game in Knoxville between Georgia and Tennessee. T. Martin takes his team 63 yards, then he takes it in the house by himself. Tennessee leads Georgia early, 7-zip. Let's go back to Ron and Artie.
Well, I've been to one of those battles, Artie, in Knoxville and between the hedges in Athens. That is a great SEC matchup.
Atmosphere, atmosphere, atmosphere. College football, Lincoln, Nebraska, or Knoxville, Tennessee. It's all good.
The black shirts flexing their muscles. A loss of 5 on the play. A.J. Moses in motion. They go straight up the middle. Another penalty flag is thrown. Aaron Wills from that left defensive end on the stop.
That's Will's second play in a row in the backfield. The Nebraska defensive line is just starting to tee off on the Iowa State offensive line. And what's happening, because they can't block them, they're starting to hold them.
Boy, Iowa State has shot themselves in the foot so far in the first quarter.
Penalty is declined. 2 third down.
Nebraska wants the field position and the football here. It's going to be 3rd and long. Nebraska does a great job on 3rd and long. Coming into the game, they had only given up 20 first downs out of 80 attempts on 3rd down for 25%. So they know what they're doing on 3rd down situations.
You have 78,000 in the Memorial Stadium yelling and screaming. Difficult for the young quarterback, Sage Rosenfels, facing a 3rd and 15. He'll tuck it, looks to run, has a little bit of room, but the red jerseys show their speed and collapse on him. Led by Mike Brown from that rover position, the senior out of Scottsdale, Arizona.
Mike Brown sat in a rover robber position that time, read it perfectly. He was in the middle to help on some of the underneath patterns, but when the quarterback Rosenfels started to scramble, he became a run defender, and it just hit him in the backfield. One of the great players in all college football, number 21, Mike Brown.
And this is where Iowa State has their fingers crossed.
And look for Nebraska to go after the punt here. They're not shy about trying to block punts. They blocked 2 already this year.
And it is blocked.
Make it 3.
Touchdown, Nebraska. Stella with the block. And Ralph Brown with a recovery.
When you have fast athletes on defense, you go after punts all the time. Randy Stella, number 34, is a 4.4 speed demon. Watch him from the left of the screen. He lays out, he fell, he got up, and he took the ball off the punter's foot. You don't get any better of an example of a great play in blocking a punt than number 34, Randy Stella.
And Nebraska has hung 13 already on Iowa State, make it 14. Josh Brown completes it, the block punt, the touchdown by Brown, and the Huskers up by 2 touchdowns. We'll be back. That young person has probably been born into tickets here at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, and he loves it. The Huskers lead 14-0 as Iowa State has their first punt block of the year. Hayden Felt's kick again. Gets that strong leg into it. 5 yards deep. Moses will take a knee. We talked about handling adversity. This is what Iowa State has to handle right now.
Number 34, Randy Stella, is right here. He gets off on the football and does a great effort of coming up the field. But watch his athleticism. He almost gets knocked down, but he keeps coming because of his determination to get to the punter, and he blocks the punt. What a great job. This guy is a former running back out of Omaha. He plays linebacker. He returns kicks. He covers kicks. He is going to be a great, great player here for the Cornhuskers.
Well, already Iowa State going to a new quarterback. Derek Walker, the junior out of Brenham, Texas, is really starting to come on. They like his style on the option, and we'll see it on the first play. But the black shirts have something to say about that. No gain on the play. Iowa State had only 10 turnovers coming into this game. They already have 2 tonight. The numbers on Walker. Spent some time in junior college. Didn't play a lot of quarterback in junior college, but Dan McCartney told us a couple weeks ago, this guy is an athlete.
Yeah, he's only thrown 4 passes, though, so far this year, and this is a tough situation for him to come into. I think they're putting him in here to give Rosenfels a little bit of a break, but also to allow Walker's athleticism to hopefully make some plays.
2nd down and 10. Again, the motion. Walker does not have anybody available. And he is going to be dumped by Carlos Polk after a gain of about 2. That is why the black shirts are such a great defense. Their linebackers close so quickly. But when you talk to the Larry Smith of Missouri, who obviously has played him, Bob Simmons, he said what makes the linebackers so good are guys like Kaiser and Warren, the 2 guys right in the middle on the defensive line.
Yeah, I'd give the credit to Charlie McBride, though, on that one, because he blitzed a new quarterback out of a nickel package, and I'll tell you, obviously Iowa State wasn't ready for it. Your point is well taken, though, Ron. Kaiser and Warren and Lahr, those defensive front guys are as good a group as there is in the country.
And they're missing Jeremy Schlechter, who they think may have tore his ACL. They're hoping he might come back later on this year, and the young Walker is going to have to call a timeout. How would you like to be playing junior college ball, then the next year you're in front of almost 80,000 people dressed in red?
Well, I'm sure Blinn Junior College averaged about, what, 8,000 a game instead of 80. But, you know, this is what Dan McCartney was talking about handling adversity. Right now, Iowa State is suffering some adversity. They're behind 14-0. They're not playing very good, and the crowd is obviously against them. So they've got to be able to handle this to stay in this game.
Well, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific, it's the NFL This Morning. This week's special guest is Patriots All-Pro quarterback Drew Bledsoe. The Patriots are the AFC's only undefeated team, and Bledsoe is the main reason. He's thrown for over 1,200 yards, tops in the NFL, and has 6 touchdowns with only 1 interception. That's the NFL This Morning tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific, right here on Fox Sports Net.
And there's Charlie McBride. He's been at Nebraska 23 years, 18 as the defensive coordinator, a throwback. But I'll tell you, he's got them lined up in the right spots all the time. Does a great, great job of coaching this Cornhusker black shirt defense.
He thinks this could be one of his best defenses ever.
I agree with him.
On 3rd down and 8, Walker puts up his first pass of the evening, and it is complete to Ennis Haywood out of the backfield, the sophomore out of Dallas, Texas. And they mark it. It will be good enough for a first down, as it was a pickup of 10.
And that will relax Walker a little bit. You want to get your first completion. You want to get into the rhythm of the game. There's no way sitting on the sidelines can you experience it.
And they thought that he would have the poise to handle something like this. The coaches didn't question that beginning in the practices when he first started 2-a-days, and they saw that he had some of those intangibles.
Well, you know what happened a little bit? Rosenfels has played so well that you don't want to break off a good thing when things are going well.
Dan McCartney says he doesn't want to be the punching bag anymore in the Big 12. Right now, Nebraska has taken a couple of right hooks upside their head, and Iowa State has to answer.
Nebraska's in their nickel defense again.
They fake the reverse, keep it straight ahead. The #1 rushing team in the NCAA is stopped. Darren Davis, no place to go. And there is Sage Rosenfels just having to wait.
And, you know, he's got to be a team guy in a situation like this. He and Walker live in the same apartment complex back in, you know, at Iowa State University. So he's got to hang in there. He's got to look what's going on and be ready to go back in if the coaches decide to take out Walker, which I'm sure he will.
Darren Davis, 5 carries, 18 yards so far, and you can see how much their rushing has improved the last 3 years.
That's an amazing statistic to go from 103rd in the country 2 years ago to 1st. Amazing job.
2nd and 9, 3-step drop. Walker over the middle. Pass is tipped away at the last second. Ralph Brown on the coverage, and he holds every record in Nebraska history for pass breakups, and we saw a perfect example of that right there.
Going to be an All-American at Hacienda Heights, California. Bishop Ahmad High School wanted to go to USC along with Mike Brown, but decided to go to Nebraska when they came here on a recruiting visit. This guy and Mike Brown and this entire Nebraska secondary is arguably the best in all of college football.
He looks like B.J. Armstrong, former NBA or NBA player, now back with the Chicago Bulls.
I tell you, he looks like an All-American in a first-round draft choice to me, and a future millionaire.
3rd down and 9 for Iowa State. They'll keep it on the ground with Davis. Penalty flag is thrown. Davis bulling his way up to the 38-yard line. Pickup of 4 on the play. Wills and Polk combine to make the tackle, and again another penalty against Iowa State. They average only 7 penalties a game. Dan McCarney has, I think, 5 penalties already tonight.
Holding on the offense. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
Now they'll have to kick it away.
You know, we talked about it before, but sometimes when the defensive players are very athletic, offensive linemen get nervous, and they say, hey, I need an edge here, so I've got to use my hands and hold a little bit. And I think that's what's happening a little bit here tonight. And Nebraska, Ron, doesn't look like they're coming after this punt. They're back. It looks like they're going to be in a return mode.
Carl Gomez set to kick it away. Bobby Newcomb back at the 22-yard line, ready to return the punt. Nebraska dancing around on the line of scrimmage.
And they just changed. They're going to come after him.
Leiftaug of the snapper, the left-footed kicker. Not a very good kick, and it won't be returned. Newcomb just backs away as the punt dies at the 18-yard line. 44 yards on the kick, so they got a pretty good bounce. And that's an interesting hat. Well, coming up next, college football here on Fox Sports Net, you will see Oregon versus UCLA. Oregon averaging about 39 points a game, which is 2nd best in the Pac-10. They take on UCLA. Last year's game, of course, featured almost 1,000 yards total offense as UCLA won it in overtime, 41-38. Join Steve Pizziak, Tom Ramsey, and the great James Lofton for Oregon UCLA immediately following our tilt here on Fox Sports Net. And Nebraska 1st and 10 from their own 18-yard line. Eric Crouch goes to work straight up the middle, a big hole. Again, it is Alexander. Buckhalter, we should say. Correll Buckhalter getting a little playing time. But again, that offensive line of Nebraska opening up the big hole.
They do as good a job as anybody at blocking inside. You're going to see number 55, Russ Holstein there, pull trap, which allows Burkholder to get up inside. Good blocking, but look at that hole, Ron. You could run through there.
I'm telling you. Buckhalter has the only 100-yard rushing game so far this year for Nebraska. Had it against Missouri. They'll try the right side. Big hole again. Buckhalter crossing the 45. They'll mark it at the 48-yard line.
He comes into the game as the slasher-type runner. He's averaged over 7 yards a carry coming into the game tonight. Look for him to make some big runs. He's the fastest back that Nebraska has.
And again, Iowa State commits the infraction. That'll be officially their 5th penalty.
Against the defense, 5-yard penalty, end the run, 1st down.
Now, you know what was interesting about that last play? Number 38, Dan Alexander. You see him right there. He's the lead blocker. Look, he's the other tailback. He's blocking in the fullback position. Does a great job for Burkholder. Wow, you got to like that when you have 2 tailbacks, one at the fullback and one at the tailback or the I-back position.
One thing you have to do at Nebraska if you're a wide receiver or any kind of back is you have to learn to block. Nebraska mixing it up. Crouch going for pay dirt. Matt Davison, touchdown. Yards on the pass completion. Davison's 2nd touchdown reception of the year. Had 1 versus Missouri and 1 this evening.
Frank Solich talked about mixing it up with play-action type passes on 1st and 10. The defense gets about 9 guys around the line of scrimmage. It's difficult to stop an efficient passing game with that many people around the line of scrimmage.
Josh Brown has the extra point. It is good. And Dan McCarney and Iowa State looking for a tourniquet to stop the bleeding. 1:58 left in the first. Nebraska leads 21-0. Homecoming crowd of well over 77,000 like what they see so far. They have won the last 6 meetings between these two teams, 20 of the last 21, and they lead 21-0 right now. The kick into the end zone, and again, Hayden Felt putting Iowa State with their back to the wall. Let's take a look at that touchdown again.
Matt Davidson's the receiver up at the top. You're going to see a great play fake in the backfield. And watch Dustin Avey right here, the safety. He jumps on the play fake in the backfield, and he doesn't help his corner at all. Matt Davidson runs down the field, runs a post and out, and catches the touchdown pass. Perfectly thrown ball, but the play fake is what makes it, and that's why you do that, Ron, on 1st and 10. You want to suck up those safeties and those linebackers and throw the ball behind them.
Well, Sage Rosenfels is back into the lineup. Derek Walker will take a seat. This possession is so important for Iowa State just to try to do something offensively. Davis will try the right side, and there's nothing doing as a penalty flag is thrown, and this will be another holding call against the Cyclones. Brian Shaw's the one who really strung the play out to the outside. Well, Artie, I tell you, if you're Dan McCartney, you've got to be scratching your head. You came in, you wanted to just play sound football. That's all he talked about, and he knows that this is just, you could call it a brain cramp, but this does not give your team an opportunity to do anything.
Holding on the offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Meanwhile, Davison reliving his scoring drive of 3 plays, only took 45 seconds. On the pass from Crouch, getting attaboys from Dan Alexander.
Well, there's a lot of happy faces on that sideline, and one of the reasons is there's a lot of quick strikes and quick scores. The average scoring drive this year for Nebraska is 2 minutes and 15 seconds, which means you're scoring in a hurry.
Well, first down and 20, ball on the 10-yard line. They better snap it. They have 1 second to do it. They barely get it off. Rosenfels throws it to no one in particular, and Nebraska is there to knock it away. Ralph Brown again, intended for Mike Banks.
The tough thing for Iowa State's offense is when you are in long situations. You're going to see Banks lined up out here in the slot. He's a tight end. He's going to fight to get off the ball. He's running down the field. He slips. The ball almost gets intercepted. But the problem here is it was 1st and 20, and the defensive linemen from Nebraska are playing pass. So they get their rear ends in the air, and they say, wow, I get to go rush the passer.
Well, the last 2 times Iowa State has been in Lincoln, they've lost 73-14 and 77-14, and both of those games were over in the first quarter. Rosenfels 0 for 2, looking for his first completion, and it is bobbled. Brown on the coverage, intended for Damian Gross, the senior out of San Bernardino.
There's Pete Hainer, the offensive coordinator, and he also coaches the offensive line. He's also got to be scratching his head right now.
Iowa State sideline a little quiet. Eric Clemens, you're there.
Well, actually quite vocal. A lot of the Iowa State coaches complaining to the officials to let the kids play. And, of course, an inordinate amount of holding penalties from their perspective have been called against their offensive linemen. They're yelling to the officials down here, let our kids play. Let us have a chance to get something done. But I guess holding is holding, guys.
Exactly right, Eric. 1:35 to play in the first. Nebraska leading by 3 touchdowns. A block punt accounts for one of them. Rosenfels on the option. The spacing was not all that good, and he is going to be dropped at the 10. Kyle Vanden Bosch and Carlos Polk again.
Vanden Bosch played that perfectly. He's the 1999 Lifter of the Year here at the University of Nebraska. He's big, he's strong, he's tough, and he comes with a bad attitude. Watch him right here at the top of your screen. Does a great job of playing off the block, throws the blocker to the side, comes off, makes the tackle on the quarterback with help from number 13, Carlos Polk. That's good defense. A bunch of red shirts around the ball.
Gomez standing in his own end zone. Joe Walker set to return this on the far side along with Bobby Newcomb. High snap, the left-footed Gomez, a line drive kick. Taken by Newcomb. Gets away. Look out. That is the weapon we talked about at the Open. 40-yard kick, 26 yards on the return, only a net 14, but Nebraska knocking on the door again.
Bobby Newcomb can do it all. If he catch passes, he can run, and he can return punts. A lot of this effort here is because he's so athletic, but he's got great vision to see where to run with the football. I think it's been a great move for Nebraska to get Newcomb on the field as a split end and a wingback, along with Eric Crouch as the quarterback. You have two of your better athletes, maybe your two best athletes, on the field at the same time.
Straight ahead from the fullback position. Dan Alexander on the carry. Picks up a couple of yards. But Bobby Newcomb, he wanted to make the switch from quarterback, and a lot was made that, Eric Crouch will transfer, Bobby Newcomb will transfer. That young man said, I want to do what's best for the team, talk to his family, and he knows he's doing what's best for the team.
But he also wanted to return punts. He loves to return punts. He did it for Tom Osborne when he was a freshman. And now he's a little more active in the game, and we saw him the other day in the airport. He's got just a great attitude.
Well, Matt Ward, the freshman out of Miami, Florida, is down, but that's the end of the quarter. As Nebraska comes up with the blocked punt. Stella with the block, Brown with a touchdown, and Nebraska with the lead.
Welcome to college football. Welcome to college football. Fox Sports Net. Go Red Red.
And we are back in Nebraska. 21-0. The Huskers lead as quarter number 2 gets underway. Nebraska, second down and 5, ball on the 19. They keep it on the ground, trying the right side up to the 15-yard line. Terrell Buckhalter on the carry. He gives them that elusiveness in that I-back position.
And he also gives them the opportunity to put Alexander, number 38, at fullback. This is probably their best combination of players in the backfield. One of the reasons that Alexander is playing fullback, and you mentioned this before, is Willie Miller, their starting fullback, is injured with an ankle injury.
You see Frank Solich open up this playbook. The past 2 games, they've doubled their offensive output of the first 3 games. And they're doing likewise tonight. Third down, they have just a yard for the first. Crouch keeps it and gets it.
I think one of the things that's happened is they've gotten confidence now in Eric Crouch, who's done a good job not only of running the option, but throwing passes. Now look at number 54 right here. Dominic Raiola, the future All-American center, does a wonderful job of pushing forward, which allows Crouch to follow him and get the first down. You look at this big Nebraska offensive line, 6'4", 300. These guys come out of cookie cutters.
That's some beef.
They're all the same every year. Bunch of little tanks playing in the offensive line.
Buckhalter and Alexander from the I. Eric Crouch looks to keep it. Not much running room. Up to the 12-yard line. Maybe a pickup of yard before Dustin Avey, the junior out of Ames, Iowa, comes up from that free safety position. But you talk about those offensive linemen. They have a very interesting strategy here at Nebraska. They build them almost. The guys come in, they hit the weights, and usually you don't see a whole lot of sophomores like Raiola starting.
Well, that's because it's complicated to learn this offensive system. And they worry about things called pancakes and no sacks allowed. A pancake is when you knock a defender down off of his feet to the ground. Raiola's got like 60 already this year.
He leads the team on 2nd and 9. This time the Iowa State defense stops him, but we have a penalty flag thrown.
Carried by Buckhalter.
And it'll be holding going against Nebraska.
Stop on the play by Team 3.
Well, Dominic from Honolulu, Hawaii, did a great job the previous play. This one might not have gotten the job
Watch him
done.
right here, number 54. That time, he doesn't get the job done because what happens, he goes up the field, and the linebacker that he was supposed to block blitzes, and he falls down and slips. He doesn't block anybody. But look for him on your All-American teams in the future. He's going to start now for 3 years for Nebraska. He was one of the best high school players in all of the country 2 years ago before he came to Nebraska out of Honolulu.
In fact, some of the black shirts call him the Carlos Polk of the offense.
Yeah, you know what he else also is? He's a surfer in his spare time. Now, that's got to be the biggest surfer in the ocean.
Got to be the biggest surfboard in the ocean.
I'd like to see the size of that surfboard.
Crouch looks to put it up on 2nd and 21 in the end zone, and it's going to be incomplete.
The pass from Crouch
throwing the ball to Wilson Thomas, the big 6'5" wide receiver. Now you look at Turner Gill, he's the quarterback coach, the ex-quarterback here. He is involved in the play calling. He's done an excellent job of schooling the quarterbacks here at Nebraska. In fact, he was all in favor of moving Bobby Newcomb to the wingback split end position. Look for Turner Gill to become a head coach in the near future.
You can see the average on third down. Nebraska has 13 to go usually. Nebraska 8 right now. It's third down and 21. They need to get down to the 3-yard line. Crouch, deep drop. They're setting up a screen on the left side. And Iowa State's going to be all over that. They get away briefly, but Buckhalter is finally wrapped up. First hit was put on by Reggie Hayward, the junior out of Dalton, Illinois, number 15, the big 6'5" defensive end.
You know, Ron, it's hard to call offensive plays when you're in 2nd and 20s and 2nd and 18s because no plays work in those situations because the defense knows what to expect. That time, Nebraska got a little bit out of their rhythm.
And Frankie London will be the holder as Josh Brown will attempt a 42-yard field goal, spotted at the 32-yard line, the left hash mark. Brown's kick, it's not going to be any good, and he didn't like it. A very personable young man. Spent some time with him on Thursday. Said he's still getting his feet on the ground. Former Chris Brown, no relation, has helped him. But he can't get this one to split the uprights. 12:40 left in the half. It has been all Nebraska for Frank Solich. Homecoming weekend in Lincoln, Nebraska, and so far everybody's had a lot to cheer about. Nebraska leads 21-0. We're in the second quarter. Eric Clemens, Sardi Gigantino. I'm Ron Thulin. Glad you can spend your Saturday evening with us on a beautiful fall evening here in Lincoln. Walker back into the lineup at quarterback, going deep. Pass is complete down to the 25-yard line to Damian Gross. Well, Walker showed the strength of his arm that time, Artie.
Mike Brown, number 21, the strong safety, was in coverage. You're going to see it down on the bottom here. Mike Brown is right here. Rosenfeld is going to go back and just put the ball up in the air. And Gross just runs away from Mike Brown. Mike Brown doesn't see the ball. It's one man-to-man all the way, and Walker does a great job of getting the ball to his receiver. And that's what Iowa State's going to do, though. They're going to make some big plays here.
Absolutely. Pick up a 50 on the play. Walker trying to scramble. They're going to grab him by the ankles, and it's Vanden Bosch again, and a penalty flag has been thrown. Boy, you have to think that's going to be another holding call against Iowa State. Boy, that hurts. You have the big play, and you start doing a little Michael Jackson moonwalk. Marcel Howard, the big right tackle, comes back into the lineup for Iowa State. Update on Matt Ward, by the way. He has a bruised right shoulder. His return is questionable for Iowa State. Now they're talking it over again to Nebraska.
Coming into the game, Nebraska had given up 7 passing plays this year of 25 yards or more.
Holding on the offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Eric Clemens on the sideline with a little game summary. Eric?
That's right, our National Car Rental game summary. Matt Davidson doing it through the air for Nebraska, and a block punt, of course. Recovered for a touchdown. Big swings there. One passing play you just saw over 20 yards. That 50-yard completion to Gross. Of course, Iowa State needs a lot more, guys.
Absolutely. 1st and 20. Ball on the 34-yard line for the Cyclones. Walker lets it fly. Overthrown. Intended for J.J. Moses, who stands 5'6". That pass was about 6'5".
One thing the Iowa State coaches are doing now is they're allowing Walker to run the offense. They haven't done anything different with him than they wouldn't do with Rosenfeld. So obviously Walker has been getting good, solid practice time in executing this offense.
It's called the Nebraska defense, the top 6 in 4 different categories, and only 3 times under Charlie McBride has it happened. That could be a former offensive lineman, isn't it?
Yeah, or a nose guard. He looks a little bit more like a nose guard to me.
2nd down and 20. The blitz coming from the right side. A little draw play. Davis maybe gets a yard or 2. He has been wrapped up from the get-go, and a lot of times after the first hit, you can see Darren Davis do a little running, and that was Ennis Hayward, I should say.
Jamie Burrow, number 48, makes the play. Now, Burrow's an interesting guy because he's from Ames, Iowa. So he knows a lot of these players that are playing for Iowa State. In fact, his dad, Jimmy, played for Nebraska in 74 and 75, is a good friend of Charlie McBride's, and is now a high school coach up in Ames, Iowa. And he's in the stands somewhere here tonight, rooting for his son, number 48, Jamie Burrow.
Third down and 18. Walker rolling out, throws back to the left, almost a spectacular catch by Gross. But the pressure again put on Walker. Ralph Brown was on the coverage, but Walker took a huge hit after he let that one go.
And the guy we were just talking about, Jamie Burrow, number 48, is the guy who comes on a linebacker blitz and knocks him to the ground. But he doesn't fall on top, he doesn't go on the ground. But he doesn't not fall on top of him, which is why it was not a personal foul. Good job that time by number 22, Ralph Brown.
And on fourth down, Iowa State will go for it. Fourth down this year, they are 2 of 4.
I think they're smart here. Why front? Hey, show your team you have confidence in them and try to make a play.
Fourth down and 18 from the 32. Pressure again. Looking for a screen. They've got it on the left side. The Banks penalty flag is thrown, and he is dropped at the 36-yard line, a loss of 3. We have 2 penalty flags now thrown, one on the near side and one right in the middle of the field. So hold on. Linesman David Alexander coming over to talk to referee Hal Dowden. Well, a personal foul against Iowa State. Looks like Julius Jackson may have the personal foul called on him for Nebraska. Now they're discussing the penalties. And they're going to talk to Nebraska captains.
Yeah, what's going to happen here now, the personal foul is going to be a dead ball foul, and the holding is a live ball hold.
Holding on the offense is declined. It was fourth down, so the ball goes over. We'll penalize the dead ball, personal foul against Nebraska. First down.
All right.
All you do is lose a little bit of field position, but you maintain the ball. Now watch number 50 right here. Julius Jackson. I don't know. Close.
I don't know either. I agree.
Unless it was somebody else, or unless somebody said something to somebody, the official or something, but we didn't get it all there.
And here comes the Nebraska offense leading 21-0. 10:42 to play in the opening half. They led 21-0 at the end of one. Diversity will describe this offense so far tonight. They've run it and they've thrown it. And you can see 145 total offense on 16 plays. Try to follow the right side of the big Nebraska offensive line. Not much doing. Good defensive stand by Iowa State as they're stopping Carell Buckhalter.
That time Bobby Newcomb came around in motion and they faked the ball to him. Watch for the next play in this series to be a fake up inside to number 36 Buckhalter and a give to Bobby Newcomb coming around as the wingback. It's a nice little series that really keeps the defense at home, so to speak.
Well, there's a guy that might be a little colorblind. No, it's supposed to be red, not green, okay?
It says Cornhuskers, though.
Dude. Crouch on the option. The pitch is good. Tiptoeing down the sidelines up to about the 28-yard line was Buckhalter again. Well, this Tuesday at 8 o'clock on Fox Sports Net, it's Hardcore Football, and this week's guest is former Seattle Seahawk running back Kurt Warner, one of 6 players in the Seahawk Ring of Fame. All-time Penn State rushing leader with almost 4,000 rushing yards. It's Hardcore Football Tuesday at 8 on Fox Sports Net. Check your local listings. One of the great names, Kurt Warner, and speaking of Kurt Warner, has the second most rushing yards against this Nebraska defense. Billy Sims in his Heisman year of 1979 leads it with 247. That was down at Owen Field in Norman. The right side, running room again. Still on his feet. Buckhalter crosses the 40 up to the 43-yard line.
A slasher, fast, tough, keeps his knees moving type of running back. The junior out of Collins, Mississippi, is going to end up being the starting tailback, starting I-back here at Nebraska. Listen to the sound.
Boy, he is a hard runner, too. This is a young man that almost left the team.
And, you know, he's 6 foot, 225, but when you see him in practice, he looks bigger. You know, he looks like he's about 6'2", about 235.
Play action pass. Crouch is being rushed, and he is going to be dropped at the 37-yard line. Coming in from the left side, Eric Weifert. Weiferd's first sack of the ball game and the first sack for the Cyclone defense.
That time, the Cyclone defense guessed right. They came after Nebraska on first down. Nebraska's running a play-action type pass. It's hard to protect play-action type passes when the defense is blitzing. Good call that time by the defensive coaches from Iowa State.
It's only the 5th sack given up by that offensive line by Nebraska. Sets up a 2nd and 16. Crouch looks to keep it, crosses the 40, up to the 45-yard line, just past the original line of scrimmage before Dustin Avey, the junior out of Ames, comes up with a stop.
Crouch gets on the corner in a hurry. That's the key to this option offense, for the quarterback to get on the perimeter of the defense in a hurry. It really puts the defense in a bind.
And that option gives this Nebraska offense such an opportunity to come up with a big play, doesn't it?
And then you complement it by being able to throw the football, which is what they've done so well this year. In fact, right now, coming into the game tonight, Crouch was the leading passer in the Big 12 in terms of passing efficiency.
On 3rd and 9, 2 wide receivers to the right. Crouch looks to put it up. Sprints out into the flat, and the pass is overthrown, intended for Matt Davison, the junior out of Tecumseh, Nebraska. 32 receptions last year. The most since Irving Fryer did it in 1983. A crowd of over 77,000, the 231st consecutive sellout, have come to Tom Osborne Field, Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, to see the number 4 ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers looking to move up to number 3 in the rankings as they lead Iowa State in the second, along with Artie Gigantino and Eric Clemens. I'm Ron Thulin. Glad you could be with us. It was a wham-bam first quarter as Nebraska jumped out to a 21-0 lead. Hayden Felt, good strong leg, standing at his 31-yard line. Almost blocked. He goes down, and the penalty flag follows. The kick goes into the end zone, but let's see what the penalty is.
It's roughing the punter by Iowa State.
55 yards on the kick. Almost got a piece of it. Hayward was coming in.
Are you going to see Haydenfeld get the ball? He kicks it, and Reggie Hayward, number 15, if he would have gotten a piece of it, then it would not have been a penalty. But because he didn't, it's a 15-yard penalty. It enables Nebraska to keep the football.
Kevin Spacey should be smiling because that's the best acting since Mr. Spacey's latest movie. Nice job, Dan. He's got an actor.
Yeah, but you know what? Being an old special teams coach, that's what you teach the punter.
Absolutely.
You teach him if anybody comes near you, you go down.
That says it all. Josh Brown getting a little laugh out of it, and Hayden Felt with those Hollywood looks.
And, you know, he's saying, hey, I got away with something. But, you know, Iowa State with 8 penalties, the problem's not the number of penalties. The problem is when they have occurred.
And they've occurred a lot.
And you can see right here, Eric Crouch is calling an audible at the line of scrimmage.
Straight ahead with Dan Alexander. Not much running room. The Iowa State defense, to their credit, the last couple of possessions already done a nice job.
Yeah, but what you don't want to have happen now if you're Dan McCartney is you don't want to be on the field the whole time, because this is where Nebraska begins to wear you down when you're on the field. Dan McCartney's played against Nebraska before. He's coached at Iowa. He's coached at Wisconsin. He knows how hard it is to come in here to Memorial Stadium and win and play good and play respectable football.
Says it's the most difficult atmosphere in college football to play. Crouch on the option, keeps it, lunges forward up to the 32-yard line, will be about 2 yards short of the first down.
You know, I was talking to ex-Nebraska quarterback David Hump, who played at the Oakland Raiders and played for the Baltimore Colts for a while, the other day about Eric Crouch. And he watches all the games. He knows something about the quarterback position, but he thinks this guy can end up being as good as any quarterback that Nebraska has ever had, including himself. Of course, he was only joking about that. But, you know, that's pretty high praise from an ex-Nebraska quarterback. And time will tell, but so far he's on the right track.
Third down, we'll call it just about 3. Straight ahead, the Iowa State defense is there for the stuff. Great job by the Cyclone defense, led by Robert Brannon, the senior out of Rialto, California. Young man who didn't even play high school football. Said the coaches would look at him and he'd look the other way. Wanted to play hoops.
You know, they've gotten better defensively, obviously, in pass defense and in total defense. But one of the reasons is guys like a Robert Brannon, number 91. And Bannon was from San Bernardino Junior College, and he was standing on line registering for a class, and one of the linebacker coaches was walking by him and said, hey, would you like to come out for football? Which is why he joined the football team and ended up getting a scholarship here to Iowa State.
Well, you saw Nebraska's success rate on 4th down. Crouch keeps it, lunges over the 30, and he should have enough for the first down. That second effort again, Jeff Waters tried to hold on, the senior out of Carson, California, number 17, and push him back, but Crouch showed a little bit of strength.
That's why a lot of people compare him more to a running back than a quarterback.
The crowd's booing because the spot made it even closer. They put it right on the 30-yard line, but that's still good enough for the first down. Saw Nebraska with 10 first downs, Iowa State with just 5.
Boy, Dan Alexander just gets knocked down, boy, at the line of scrimmage there. He's got to get his head up. Ab Turner, number 41, a linebacker from Iowa State, just knocked him down. Good linebacker play.
Crouch looking down the middle, has a receiver, and it's almost picked off. Great defensive play by Ryan Sloth, the junior out of Belmont, Iowa, taking the place of Breon Ansley, who was hurt in pregame warm-ups on that right cornerback spot. Great job by the youngster.
Sees the ball being thrown, comes across, makes a break on the ball without hitting the receiver.
That's a stout play.
Stout play. Excellent camera work, and it really shows what a nice move on the ball by Slough.
Talking about Ainsley, right before the game, he ran into his own player in warm-ups and got hurt. That's why he didn't even start the ball game. Closing in on 5 minutes left to play in the half. They try the right side. Iowa State defense again, right at the 25-yard line. Buckhalter is met again by Sloth.
Nebraska is trying to reestablish themselves now in running the power running game. And that's why you see so many pitches and you see so many handoff-type plays up inside.
Tough place to play for Iowa State. They've only won twice in Lincoln since World War II. And I think the only person to remember that, I think, maybe our director, Ken Faust. Don't you think?
The Nebraska grad and alum, and proud of his Cornhuskers.
Timeout call.
And a timeout's going to be called by Nebraska. We have 4:48 left to be played in the opening half. Nebraska hung 21 on John Skoldane's defense in the first quarter, but they've been held in check since. In 48 seconds of the first half, and the Nebraska faithful have kept the Iowa State faithful rather quiet. 21-0 is our score. Nebraska with the football, facing 3rd and 5. Ball is on the 25-yard line.
2 tight ends in the game now for Nebraska, 2 wide receivers and 1 back.
Tracy Wistrom, number 87, has been quiet so far this evening. Crouch into the flat, Davison complete. Good enough for the first down as he made the catch at the 18-yard line, was pushed back and thrown down rudely. Davison having a big night tonight. Came in with 12 catches in the ball game, already has 1 touchdown catch, has a couple catches tonight.
Eric Wyford, number 49, goes up in the air to try to knock the pass down and just gets upended. He pays the price, but what he's doing is giving everything he's got for this Iowa State defense.
And again, Nebraska knocking on the door, and they're eating up a lot of time doing it. Straight ahead with Dan Alexander.
Now that's second effort by a fullback there, because he was stopped at the line of scrimmage, but ended up getting a 3-yard, 4-yard gain just on sheer determination. The fullback position has been legendary here at Nebraska. You think about the Tom Rathmans and the Joel Makovickas, and the list is endless. Dan Alexander, moving from the I-back, might be the next great fullback here.
Well, 5 carries, 30 yards so far for Alexander, and Frank Solich, let's see if he tries to pull something tricky out of his hat. There it is. Newcomb on the reverse. Left side has the first down as he is upended at about the 7-yard line.
And that was the reverse that we were talking about before with Bobby Newcomb coming back around. Now watch Bobby right here. He's going to line up in the slot. He's going to come around. It's a fake up inside, and he gets a reverse and gets up the field. Frank Solich wants to use him more and more in these type of plays. He talked about it yesterday. They practice it a lot. You want to get the ball into your best athlete's hands.
Well, the last 2 games, Nebraska has been perfect when they got inside the red zone. Now it's 1st and goal. Ball is on the 7-yard line. Straight ahead, big hole. Does he get in? Touchdown on the second effort for Correll Buckhalter. His 4th rushing touchdown of the year. And Frank Solich, the former running back coach, when Tom Osborne was head coach, likes that second effort by Buckhalter, the junior out of Collins, Nebraska.
An old-fashioned isolation blast play to the left side of that offensive line for Nebraska. But I'm like you, Ron. I think the determination by Buckhalter is what got the touchdown.
The kick is good, and with 3:13 left in the half, Nebraska leads 28-0. On the other side of the break, we'll join Kevin Frazier and Keller Winslow in our Fox Sports Saturday studios.
And Tom Brady from Michigan almost brought him back, but who would have thought that Michigan State and Michigan would be throwing the football all over the lot? A huge, huge win for Nick Saban's Michigan State Spartans.
Well, J.J. Moses will get his first chance at a return and a little trickery. He keeps the ball, fumbles. Iowa State falls on it on the 17-yard line. Got a little bit of a break there. I'll get all the football news, highlights, and analysis you can handle as we bring you in-depth pro, college, and even high school pigskin coverage. It's weeknights at 6 on Fox Sports Net. Check your local listing for Fox Sports Net football news. And their future Cornhuskers and future Cyclones that they talk about each and every week on that show is Sage Rosenfels comes back into the lineup. He has a big game mentality, and if he has it, he better show it now because they trail 28-0 with just over 3 minutes left in the half. Davis and Haywood in the backfield. The fake, a little shuttle pass to Haywood. Gets up to the 18-yard line. Maybe picked up a yard on the play. Kaiser on the stop.
One of the hardest jobs in all of football is to cover kickoff. Randy Stella, number 34, the guy that blocked the punt before, runs down the field, gets off of a blocker, causes a fumble on the spin, and Iowa State ends up recovering. But that is outstanding kickoff coverage by the linebacker, Randy Stella, number 34.
How versatile is he, though?
He's real versatile.
Goodness.
He can play any position on this field except the offensive defensive line.
Well, George Darlington, one of the assistant coaches, told us Thursday night, he goes, this kid could be very good. Now it's 2nd down and 9. Rosenfels doing what was successful against Kansas State. The pass is complete up to the 25, and that is rolling out, trying to buy some time. Chris Anthony with his 4th reception of the year. And, you know, we haven't seen his Austin Powers. You have about 2.5 weeks. That is honestly my costume.
I hope those guys don't have dates tonight.
They're probably with each other. But, you know, we saw against Kansas State that Rosenfels was able to roll out a little bit, and he used his tight end a lot. We haven't seen that being the case tonight. They haven't been successful with that.
One of the problems, though, that they're having with their tight ends is they can't get down the field. The Nebraska safeties do a great job of coverage of inside receivers. They're just not open. It's an unbalanced line this time. 2 blockers on the bottom.
3rd down and 2. Davis stutter steps, gets the first down, and trips as he crosses the 30. Mike Brown got a hand on him, but there you saw just how elusive Darren Davis can be. Number 3 career rusher in Iowa State history.
thing I liked about him when you talk to him, and he's a very serious young man, and he was a wrestler in high school, which has really been an asset to him keeping his balance when he's running the football.
Well, he had only 48 yards last year against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. He has 23 tonight. Rosenfeld's out in the flat. The pass is complete to Damian Gross. Had an 80-yard touchdown reception versus Iowa a few weeks back. Capable of making a big play, the senior out of San Bernardino, California.
And you know what? He idolizes Jerry Rice. That's his idol. In fact, he's got a statue of Jerry Rice in his locker. You know, there's not much traffic out there. I think everybody is in the stadium here, Ron.
How about the third largest city in Nebraska when there is a game here? And that 72,000 tonight is up to 77,743. Not bad, huh? Second down and 4 for the Cyclones, trying to do something the final 63 seconds, but they don't because the black shirts are there. Jason Lohr, the sophomore out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, with his first sack of the game and the first sack for the Huskers tonight.
You're going to see Rosenfeld go back to pass, but you know what? His receivers are a little bit late getting off the line. Number 86, Chris Anthony, looks like he missed a snap count. He was not in sync with what the ball was when it was snapped. And I think that was one of the problems that Rosenfeld had. He didn't have anybody to throw to down the field.
I think you're absolutely right, as Dan McCarney calls a timeout, and he's going to let his troops have it. You know, he was so excited, and obviously he knew the reality of the situation coming in here, but he knew that his team played Kansas State so well for 30 minutes, and we're hoping they do likewise.
Well, Dan McCartney, like we talked about, has been around, and he knows what the situation is.
Just a reminder, immediately following our first half of play, we'll send it over to Kellen Winslow and Kevin Frazier for the Nissan halftime report. The scores and highlights of all the games around the country, including that Michigan State upset over Michigan, the overtime thriller. That was today. We had a bunch of great games today. Texas beating Oklahoma, setting up that showdown in 2 weeks with Nebraska down in Austin. Oklahoma suffering their second loss in a row. Dan McCarney hopes that's not the case for him. And, of course, they had the off week last week. And, ironically, 4 teams that Nebraska faces from the conference this year have off weeks prior to facing the Huskers. Didn't help Oklahoma State last week, and right now it's not helping the Cyclones. Third down and 13. Rosenfeld's little soft touch, lofting it up down the left sideline, and great coverage by Ralph Brown on the play.
Ralph Brown takes the inside away that time. He does an excellent job on Moses. He sees the ball thrown, and he has recovery speed. That's why he's going to be a first-round draft choice. We talked about him before at a Hacienda Heights, California, Bishop Ahmad High School. Hard to throw on this Nebraska secondary.
Absolutely.
123 starts they have between their secondary right now. 123. It's a whole lot of experience.
Ralph Brown has started every game in his career here in Nebraska. Gomez, a great spiraling high kick at the 25-yard line. It is Walker trying the right side, and he runs out of room. He pushed out at the 25, a 54-yard kick, 10 on the return, and you can see Iowa State only gave up 1 touchdown in the first half in the first 4 games this year.
And you know what? As a football team, they outscored their opponents 79-7 in the first half. Well, that has changed a little bit tonight, as we've talked about. But, you know, and it makes for a happy halftime, believe me.
Oh, yeah.
When you're ahead all the time, you've only given up 7 points in 4 games. Dan McCartney's got an interesting job at halftime to motivate his troops to come out and to continue to play for 60 minutes, as we talked about at the beginning of the game. You know, that's a tough halftime speech.
Final 36 seconds. Hopping over the right side is Dan Alexander, coming back from a couple of knee surgeries. The coaches are so pleased in his comeback. His movement this past week much better in practice, and they said they can see his confidence continuing to build in that I-back spot. And the I-back spot this year, Artie, you know, quite frankly, has been under criticism. Everybody's saying, well, that's not the typical I-back at Nebraska, but they're getting the job done.
Well, they've had some injuries. They've had some shuffling of personnel, and they're also, you know, undecided at the quarterback position. So I think once they settled at the quarterback, it helps the I-back because then the option gets clicking.
Alexander keeps the fake, has some speed. He turns on the afterburners. Final play of the half, down to the 25-yard line. Eric Wyford, the linebacker, on the stop, but that's the way the first half will end. Nebraska hangs 21 on Iowa State in the first quarter, 7 only in the second quarter, and the Iowa State Cyclones are in a big hole, 28-0. Eric Clemens is with Frank Solich.
All right, Coach, you know, a big turnover to stop their first drive and the big block punt seemed to set the tone. Your assessment of the first half?
Well, I thought we came out and did some good things very early, and certainly the momentum change that happened in the first quarter was a big factor for us. We're doing some good things, but there's still a long ways to go. We got 2 quarters of tough football yet to play.
All right, Coach, good luck to you in the second half. Time now for the Nissan halftime report. Let's send you to our College Football Saturday studios before I get run over by the band. Kevin Frazier and Kellen Winslow. Take it away, guys.
28-0 is our halftime score. Nebraska, number 4 team in the country, looking to move up a notch as they lead Iowa State. We're at intermission once again with Artie Gigantino, Hamran Thula. Now, Iowa State comes into this game averaging 328 yards rushing. Hardy in the first half only 33 yards running the football.
Well, that's been problem number 1. They can't sustain a running game. But the second thing is they've had 8 penalties so far, and a lot of them in tough situations on third down. Nebraska, on the other hand, has rushed for 206 yards. They are really churning out the clock. They are doing a good job so far of being in rhythm with this offensive option attack.
And Nebraska averaging over 7 yards a play. And on the sideline, Eric Clemens had a chance to update us on Iowa State. Eric?
Yeah, talked with Coach Dan McCarney, Ron, just a few moments ago. He said, obviously, the penalties are killing us, but he still contends this game has not been a physical mismatch. His team has to come out and really do better work with their hands on the offensive line to create something in the running game. They're not using Darren Davis enough. Create anything positive and, of course, eliminate those holding penalties. A very tall order, down by 28 against one of the best defenses in the nation, guys.
Absolutely right, but Darren Davis with 23 yards has to get on track, Artie.
Well, you know, those guys in the red shirts that are known as the black shirts have got something to say about that, because I think Nebraska's just all over the field on defense tonight.
Line drive kick will not be returned. And Nebraska's offense will take over 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line as we open up quarter number 3 for Frank Solich. He was a running back here at the University of Nebraska. I remember when he was the running back coach with Tom Osborne, and he used to challenge running backs to push-ups. And Amon Green, former running back here at Nebraska, couldn't do it. You can see what Nebraska did in the first half. A couple of touchdowns, missed a field goal, another touchdown, and the half came to an end.
And they almost scored on the last play. Dan Alexander just got caught from behind, which would have been very demoralizing for Iowa State.
And they keep it on the ground with Alexander, left side, breaks a couple of tackles. A lot of daylight. 1 man to beat. And he is going to be dragged from behind at the 27-yard line by Jeff Waters.
As good a run as that was, that's one of the knocks on Alexander, is he doesn't have the great breakaway speed. You're going to see a little counterplay up to the top, does a good job of finding a hole, but look at the power that this young man possesses. He runs through 3 tackles on his way to a huge gain.
54 yards on the carry. That is his career longest run for Alexander. He's now rushed for 136 yards so far tonight. Second time he's played Iowa State's second big game. Tyrone Euler, the redshirt freshman from the fullback spot on the carry, just banging his way in. But Alexander, I think we saw his power on that play, obviously.
You know, we talked about him before, but he was the first freshman in the history of Nebraska football to be the lifter of the year. He was also the state heavyweight wrestling champion when he was a senior in high school out of Missouri. So this is a powerful, talented athlete.
And he's running behind that rededicated offensive line of Nebraska that has gotten leaner and bigger in the course of a year. Crouch on the option, great pitch, fumbled out of bounds, and he was hit right as he tried to get the ball to Dan Alexander.
And the ball was pitched a little bit ahead of him, but it looked like Alexander stuttered a little bit on this surface and slipped. But you know, the ball gets knocked out of bounds, that's safe. Good job by Crouch, and as I said, the ball was a little bit ahead of Alexander, who I think his feet got caught up on this new surface.
Well, the one thing about the new surface is Dan Alexander is not going to have any turf burns. Doesn't give you any turf burns.
No abrasions on those things.
And the players of Nebraska love the new surface here at Osborne Field. Third down and 8, balls on the 24-yard line. Trying to make something out of Dan Alexander's big run. Crouch looking deep in the end zone, has a man. Touchdown, Bobby Newcomb. 24 yards on the touchdown catch by Newcomb. His second receiving touchdown of the year, Artie.
That's about as simple as it gets, too. It's just a sprint out play, 2 lead blockers, Bobby Newcomb in the slot, runs down, runs it out, a corner-type pattern, touchdown.
Well, we talked earlier in the evening how quick Nebraska strikes. How about a minute and 16 seconds unofficially? Josh Brown will attempt the extra point, and he splits the uprights. We saw the diverse offense in that possession by Nebraska. They run it and they throw it.
All right, you're going to see Bobby Newcomb is right here. He's going to run down and out. But watch what happens here. The fullback and the tailback get on the corner, give Crouch a little bit of time. The ball is perfectly thrown, and Bobby Newcomb runs away from the defender. Austin does a pretty good job, but he loses his feet and he stops. And as you can see, Newcomb is almost like a snake getting away from Atif Austin, the cornerback.
We talked about how they were going to try to isolate Austin and take advantage of his inexperience, and Newcomb did there.
But also, we talked about Nebraska utilizing Bobby Newcomb more and more and more. And they're just making a statement tonight with the utilization of number 12, the junior out of Albuquerque.
How demoralizing is that? You come out of halftime, you get the pep talk from the coach, and wham, bam, in a minute and 16 seconds, you find yourself down by 5 touchdowns.
Well, it is demoralizing because they know I always talked about this as a defensive coach and an offensive coach. In the second half, it's the first drive where you make a statement for the rest of the half. And obviously, Nebraska made the statement this time.
Well, Iowa State will have a chance to get the ball. Nebraska has scored at least 42 points versus Iowa State the last 4 years.
You know, as we see Crouch here talking to Turner Gill, he is 7-2 as a starter coming into this game. He's efficient. I think he's under control. I think he's a cool customer when he gets his hands underneath the center, and he's got to make an audible at the line of scrimmage.
I think you hit it on the head when you said efficient. J.J. Moses from the 3. Left side, splits the middle. Up to the 24-yard line. Tony Ortiz on the stop, trips him up. And Moses has been very quiet so far this evening. Been a lot of running around, but not going anywhere, but he's been going there quickly.
Iowa State has not played a defense as fast as Nebraska. Kansas State's got a very good defense. They run around, but believe me, this Nebraska defense is arguably the fastest defense in the Big 12 and certainly one of the fastest in the whole country in college football.
Aaron Davis only 23 yards rushing the football in the first half. He is #1 in the NCAA. Tony Ortiz says not today. Davis is wrapped up.
The guy who makes the play, though, is number 19, Clint Finley. He comes off the corner on a blitz, which allows Davis to have a defensive player in his face. And, you know, coming into the game, he led the nation in rushing, 176.8 yards per game. Obviously, tonight, 23 yards and only a 2.6 average.
Loss of 2 on the play inside of 13 minutes here in the third. Iowa State trying to get something going offensively. Rosenfeld sees the rush, throws it out in the flat. Dangerous pass, and they're going to lose yardage. The pressure was put on by Tony Ortiz on Rosenfeld, but Nebraska smelled this one out from the get-go.
And you're going to see Julius Jackson, number 50, appear in the picture. He hasn't had a lot of plays tonight because, quite honestly, the ball carrier hasn't gotten to him. But he has been nicknamed Captain Turnover and Magnet Fingers because all he does is when the ball is in the air or the ball is on the ground is somehow come up with it. He's been a sensational addition to this black shirt defense this year. And you can see 4 out of 8, 13 yards is not going to cut it tonight for Iowa State.
On 3rd and 13, Rosenfeld's trying to buy some time, throws it out deep, looking for the first down, knocked out of bounds, no catch. The big-time hit was put on by Keo Craver, the sophomore out of Harleton, Texas. The pass was complete, but not brought in bounds.
Craver is a phenomenal athlete. Phenomenal. And he's made the adjustment from running back to cornerback, and he plays that one just perfectly.
Gross did a nice job just getting his hand on the football.
Yeah, even gets a coach knocked down on that one. That was 2 for 1. It might have been Dan McCartney. That was 2 for 1 for Craver.
That's the way his night's going right now. Gomez has had one kick blocked. Joe Walker standing on his own 34-yard line, set to return the kick. The left-footed kicker, and is blocked again. Up in the air, Iowa State comes up with it. They're going to try to advance it, and they do. But it should be a dead ball at the 25-yard line, 24-yard line. It never hit the ground. Stayed up in the air the whole time.
And Ron, that's what the officials are calling. It's Nebraska's ball on the 26-yard line. And the gentleman we were just talking about, Keo Craver, is the one that blocked that punt.
Touched by the kicking team past the line of scrimmage. It was dead at that point. First down.
Great field position for Nebraska.
Craver, watch him come from the left of your screen. He's got so much speed. He comes all the way across again. A wonderful job by a Nebraska player of laying out. Watch him right here. He's going to come and lay out and just get a tip of the ball. That is speed, that is athleticism, and that is determination. That's a second punt block tonight for Nebraska.
Iowa State hadn't had a punt block all year up until tonight.
And you know, Ron, at the beginning of the game, we talked about dominating special teams by Nebraska. That was one of the keys for them to win this football game. And so far, they have dominated the special teams area.
Homecoming crowd likes what they see. They've won 30 straight homecoming games, shut out the last 3 homecoming opponents. Right now, still a lot of football left to be played. But Nebraska facing 2nd down and 6, leading 35-0. 2 block punts tonight. Crouch on the option, keeps it. Great ball fake, and he will walk it in. Crouch with the touchdown, but it was the ball fake that did it. His first rushing touchdown of the evening, the 8th of the year, and Dan McCartney, the steam's coming out of the ears.
Call him Eric Crouch, the captain, the engineer, the architect on the field of this option offense. Because right now, he's exercising brilliance, I think, in executing this offense.
And I think we saw Frank Solich smile.
Nah, not yet. Too soon.
It may have been a glimmer of one. Well, the touchdown by Eric Crouch, and the number 4 team, possibly the number 3 team in the country, leads Iowa State big. Memorial Stadium, over 77,000 on hand for homecoming here on Fox Sports Net. Along with Eric Clemens and Artie Gigantino, I'm Ron Thulin, and we are glad you are with us. As the number 4 team in the country, Nebraska showing Iowa State why they are ranked number 4. And for all practical purposes, will be number 3 when the new rankings come out. Iowa State looking to get something going offensively. Michael Brantley on the kick return, crosses the 20 up to about the 22-yard line. We haven't seen a lot of reverses already by Iowa State. We thought that they would try to do a little more trickery than they have.
Well, you know, I don't think they can run them because of the speed of the Nebraska defense. Nebraska is so disciplined, but the one thing that kills counter plays and kills reverses is speed. And that's what you got with Nebraska. So I think Dan McCartney and his staff has said we want to spread the defense out a little bit and try some misdirection, but they haven't been able to get any positive yardage when they have executed a misdirection type play.
Well, Derek Walker back in the lineup. Davis trips his way up to the 30, maybe the 31-yard line, as that black shirt defense of Nebraska has had only one opponent rush better than 60 yards for a game. That was Oklahoma State. And only one 100-yard rusher. That was also versus OSU, which brings up a good point. Charlie McBride was not real pleased of his defense in the second half against Oklahoma State after getting the big lead. He doesn't want to let down tonight.
But what happens, you end up putting a lot of your reserves in. Oklahoma State ended up with their first team playing against Nebraska's reserves. I don't think you're going to see that too much tonight.
Walker hesitating. Davis reverses his field, gets one block, gets two blocks. Doesn't get back to the line of scrimmage because Ralph Brown was right there to say, how do you do? The third team All-American from last year has led the black shirts, and they have been everywhere.
In the backfield, on the perimeter, everybody, Carlos Pope, number 13, everybody's part of the action for this Nebraska defense as you see Lord make a big play in the backfield. Charlie McBride is the defensive coordinator of the Nebraska Black Shirts. Now the story is, the way they got their name Black Shirts is Bob Devaney one day in practice, after practice, instructed then defensive coordinator George Kelly to go to a sporting goods shop and buy shirts, two different colors, that would distinguish the first team defense and the second team defense. George Kelly came back from the sporting goods shop with two sets of shirts, one gold and one black. The guys that were given the black jerseys was the first team defense, the gold jerseys, the second team defense. That is where the legend began. Can you imagine an assistant coach today going to a sporting goods shop to buy jerseys for a team for practice?
Marcel Howard walked off gingerly for Iowa State. That black shirt started in 1964. Walker being rushed. Dumps it off, left side, passes complete up to Chris Anthony, who's mauled. Now for a Dr. Pepper game break, let's go to Kevin Frazier in our College Football Saturday studios.
Ron, Virginia Tech overwhelming Rutgers. Scarlet Knights attempting the extra point, and it's blocked. Roniel Whitaker, nephew of Sweet Pea, picks it up. He rolls all the way for the 2 points. Up next for Virginia Tech, Syracuse. But Artie, what do you think of Virginia Tech and Nebraska down the road in a bowl?
I think it's a great possibility of a matchup, and there's another possibility here, Kevin. Don't discount now Virginia Tech making a run at the national championship before this year is over. They do it all good there. Special teams, offense, and defense.
Another great kick, and Nebraska ran into their own player. And a penalty flag is thrown. This is going to be interesting on the replay. Well, it's going to be a penalty. They're saying it's against Iowa State, but it looked like the Nebraska guys collided.
Now, Doug Densmore, number 24, could have violated the halo rule, which is what the officials are calling. You got to give the punt returner, when he signals for a fair catch or when he's trying to catch the ball, you got to give him 6 feet or 2 yards. Now, it looked like one of his own guys banged into him.
Looks like he was, if he hit him, it was blocked into him. Gomez is pleading his case. He had a great kick, and they're having the powwow with anybody who has a striped shirt. You can join it. It's a club. It's private.
For the opportunity to make a fair catch against the kicking team, the halo violation, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Now let's look at it again.
You're going to see Densmore, number 24, right here. He cannot get closer than 6 feet or 2 yards. And that's where it is, right there. But you see him getting blocked there. You know what? It was a good call by the officials, because even though a Nebraska blocker banged into Walker, Densmore still violated the 6 feet rule.
But we never saw him make the fair catch signal.
Yeah,
the official said not on that replay, it wasn't.
Oh, give those punt returners some credit.
No.
He stuck that hand up there, I think.
9 penalties now for Iowa State. And Eric Crouch stays in at quarterback, leading 42-0. 9 minutes to go here in the third. And the option. Nothing to it. Nice play by Kevin Durandi, the sophomore out of Pella, Iowa, number 99. Big 6'5", 260 pounds.
Durandi is an athlete. He's a guy that was recruited, like you said, out of Pella, Iowa, was a high school basketball player, a high school sprinter. He's the type of athlete that Dan McCarty and his staff have brought into this Iowa State program, and they've really improved their athleticism by guys like him, with guys like him.
Crouch is going to put it up. has some time, lets it fly, and the pass is almost picked off. It floated a little bit on him. And Iowa State still has a lot to play for, don't they, Eric Clemens?
Absolutely, they have a lot to play for, Ron, but they can't seem to get a break tonight. When they get a break like a fumbled punt, they get the halo violation and can't get a turnover. Could have led to an easy score for them. They have to get something positive going into this week. And remember, as we pointed out earlier, guys, the Nebraska Black Shirts have something to prove when they're on defense. They didn't like the way they played the second half last week against Oklahoma State. They don't plan on letting anybody score in the second half tonight. We'll see, guys.
All right. Dan McCarney knows that want to do something well, and I think it may be a substitution penalty against Nebraska. You know, Charlie McBride was talking to us about that the other day, wasn't he, already, about just flying guys in left and right? Now you have to be careful now?
Yeah, you have to be careful because everybody in college football, it's like the NFL, everybody substitutes.
Substitution violation against the offense, 5-yard penalty, still third down.
And the rule is you can't have 12 people in the huddle anymore. And you can't have 12 people with, you can't have that 12th guy within 3 yards of the huddle. Otherwise, it's a violation of the rules. And I think it's fair because defensive coaches are at such a disadvantage right now because they don't know who's in the game half the time. And you like to substitute as a defensive coach with the personnel that's on the field.
Third down and 19. Nebraska will keep it on the ground, looking for some running room, and they go up to the 30-yard line, and a penalty flag is thrown from deep in the secondary. Terrell Buckhalter needed to get up to the 36-yard line, and it may be a face mask penalty. It looks like Jeff Waters may have gotten a piece of the face mask, and that's what it is.
You know, when a guy like Burkhardt starts to get tackled, he spins. And when you spin sometimes, you end up exposing the face mask. And right there, you're going to see his face mask get ripped by number 17, Jeff Waters. You know, Waters he's from California. He's a half-brother of Texas A&M great Sir Parker. The other thing about Buckhalter that's tough, he runs straight up a lot. You know, he's not a guy that buries his shoulders.
That's Damian Gross, the wide receiver for Iowa State. They're working on his shoulder, going to put a little ice on it. The pads are off, and that's not a good sign. But it's a first down for Nebraska. Crouch's pass is complete. Tom Beveridge, the junior out of Sutherland, Nebraska. A lot of the youngsters getting playing time, and even on the sideline, number 11, Joe Chrisman, 5'11", youngster out of Longmont, Colorado, may be coming in at quarterback. The second-team quarterback, Jeff Perino, is banged up a little bit, so this freshman out of Longmont, Joe Chrisman, might get a little playing time. How about that? You walk on, next thing you know, you're in front of 78,000.
Only in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Absolutely.
I was going to say only in America.
Yeah, well,
only in Lincoln, Nebraska.
I think it's synonymous, Lincoln in America. It's the heart of America. Straight up the middle, look out. The spin move, Buckhalter, down to the 20-yard line. Pick up of 26 on the play before Reggie Hayward drags him down.
Russ Hochstein and Dave Volk watch the right guard and right tackle pull and just do a great job of making a hole up inside for Buckhalter. Watch the left tackle come across. Bang, gets up in there. Number 66, Rutherford, does an excellent job of clearing out the defensive end. Good offensive line play. And the one thing about this offensive line from Nebraska, they all look and block the same.
Absolutely. Right side, again, finding running room is Buckhalter. They're going to mark him out at the 8-yard line, a pickup 11 for Correll Buckhalter. Listen in. Well, Iowa State, or I should say Nebraska, had only one 100-yard rusher coming into tonight, and now they have two in this game. Alexander with 135, Buckhalter with 127. How about almost a 10-yard average? The longest run was 26 on the previous play. First down goal to go on the 7. Pads are popping down to the 5-yard line, and we have a penalty, or fumble, I should say, and Iowa State's got it. Matt Ab Turner, the junior out of El Cajon, California, suspended earlier in the year from the team, back on the team, and he recovers the fumble. Last week, Nebraska, no turnovers. That's their first fumble this evening. 17 on the year. They've lost 8.
It's something that if you run a ball control option type of offense, you gotta hold on to the football. Now it's not going to have an effect on the outcome in this football game. But however, Frank Solich doesn't like it because you want to hold on to the football.
Because we talked about yesterday with Frank about going from being a good football team to a great football team, and it's things like penalties, holding on to the football that elevates you to that next level.
And they're awful close to being great.
Absolutely.
If not great already.
It is loud. Right side of the Iowa State offensive line move.
This is a tough situation for Iowa State to be in. It's loud in this stadium. You're in your own end zone. Little tough situation.
False start on the offense. Half the distance to go. Still first down.
It looked like Lauren Kaiser right here, number 31. He twitches a little bit, and what it does, it makes Mike Banks, the tight end, move. So a little trickery that time by the defensive line from Nebraska forces Iowa State's tight end to move.
10th penalty of the evening. Sage Rosenfeld's back in at quarterback. They keep it on the ground. Davis, the nation's leading rusher, is stopped. He has been stonewalled all evening. Still hasn't cracked the 35-yard barrier rushing the football.
Where he makes most of his yards is on the cutback type play. But the cutback holes have not been there tonight. The linebackers from Nebraska have been brilliant in their ability to fill the gaps and fill the holes and play the backside of this Iowa State rushing attack. That is why Darren Davis right now, the nation's leading rusher, only has 36 yards so far.
You can see his season average. 2nd down and 12. The pitch, looking to throw. Davis lets it fly, has a man, it's complete up to the 33-yard line, up to Ennis Haywood. His backfield counterpart, and we show the versatility of Darren Davis.
And you're going to see Nebraska's got a whole bunch of guys on the line of scrimmage. But watch Haywood right here. He goes up the field, number 2. Darren Davis puts the ball up. The Nebraska secondary that time was confused as to whether it was run or pass. Mike Brown comes over and ends up making the play, but too late.
He doesn't get confused too often.
He doesn't get confused too often. If he has any problems, it's being over-aggressive, and that's a good thing.
Pickup of 27 on the play, so Iowa State out of a little hole momentarily. Rosenfeld's off into the flat. Davis trying to get away. Not much running room because Keogh Craver wrapped him up. We've seen the progression of Keogh Craver since his freshman year, and he is becoming more and more disciplined in that cornerback spot.
Well, he was a running back like we talked about in high school. He had 50 rushing touchdowns and over 3,000 yards his senior year. So he's a guy that's made the move from great running back from a great program in Texas to now the cornerback position here at Nebraska. You can see, he started 6 games, but this group, as we've talked about, the entire secondary has 123 starts, which means a lot of experience.
Pickup of 1 on the play. Rosenfeld's being rushed. Pass is incomplete. Intended for Kenyatta Burris, the senior out of Granada Hills, California. Now, J.J. Moses has been very, very quiet tonight for Iowa State, and for very good reason. The black shirts have been all over him, especially downfield.
DeJuan Gross, number 5, covers J.J. Moses. Now, the reason he's been quiet is because guys like Gross have been blanketing him, so to speak, all evening long. Hard to throw to those guys, Ron, if they're not open. Plus, the quarterbacks from Iowa State have not had a lot of time.
Even running out, trying to get outside, they haven't. You can see it's usually Iowa State has a lot to go on third. They've only made 2 of 10. And Nebraska's coming with a bunch of red jerseys. Rosenfeld's looking for a screen. What a catch by Davis. Trying to shake and bake his way to the first down, but Deion Booker says not today. The sophomore from Oceanside, California. But there you saw the hands of Darren Davis, and he does have great hands, and he's able to take a big hit.
Here you're going to hear the sound of Darren Davis getting hit on this screen. Great job by Deion Booker out of Oceanside, California. And we all know his brother Michael was a first-round draft choice of the Atlanta Falcons a couple of years ago.
And again, Gomez standing on his 23-yard line. Set to kick it away. Joe Walker back on the 17. Not much wind here at Memorial Stadium tonight. It's a perfect night for football. He's had 2 blocked, but not this one, and he gets it away. Fumble, the ball is loose. Nebraska thinks they got it right at the 21-yard line, and they do. Another dangerous effort, second one in a row on a punt. But we've got a timeout, 5:25 left in the third, and the Huskers are drumming away on Iowa State. Part of the homecoming crowd on hand here at Memorial Stadium. Nebraska has rushed for 330 yards. There are 92 consecutive wins when they rush for over 300 yards. 217 consecutive wins when they score over 35 points. And this is the first time Nebraska's had 2 100-yard rushers since 1997 at Missouri. And we're seeing them flex their muscles on offense. Well, now Frank Solich has the luxury with 5:18 left to play in the third to play a couple of new players, including Joe Chrisman, the quarterback. Although really the official number 2 quarterback is Bobby Newcomb. They said if anything should happen to Crouch in a tight game, he would play. But still getting some of the young guys to get some reps already doesn't hurt.
No, because there's nothing like game experience. You know, you can practice all you want, you know, against the black shirt defense. There's nothing like the 75,000 plus people in here that gets the adrenaline going, and it puts a lot of pressure mentally on a young quarterback. It's great experience.
Well, Chrisman's going to be indoctrinated. Welcome to the Big 12, Joe. As he is dumped, the second sack of the evening for Iowa State. Kevin Durandi coming from that left end spot. But when you talk about offense of the decade, you have to talk about Nebraska. They are not afraid to put points on the board, and they've done it a lot of times. In fact, the highest scoring in the 90s.
You know, and it's amazing because Nebraska's not a passing team, but you would think Florida and Florida State would have scored more points, quote, in the 90s. But it's Nebraska, and this is not going to hurt that statistic to score tonight.
Not a bit. Chrisman this time just hands off to Diedrich, the youngster out of Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. And they're saying he was down at the 40, and that'll be good enough for a first down. And we saw this young man in Missouri, and they like him, the redshirt freshman.
I like him, too, watching him in practice. He looks like the cookie-cutter mold type Nebraska tailback. I think he's a guy that if they end up moving Alexander to fullback, he will alternate in the future with Buckhalter. Buckhalter's only a junior. He's a freshman. He'll have his run for at least 2 years.
Absolutely.
And he's fast.
Got a good build, too, at 6 foot 215, and he'll try it again. Bangs his way, takes a couple of hits as he makes his way up to the 45-yard line. Give him 5 more yards. He came in with 61 yards rushing on 15 carries, just about 4 yards a carry.
When Nebraska practices, they have 3 running drills or 3 offensive drills going on. Some of the young players, like a Chrisman at quarterback and like a Dietrich at tailback, get maximum repetitions. They're not standing around watching the first team guys practice. They're practicing all the time too. And I think that really helps the development of young players.
Closing in on 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Chrisman will try pass number 2, and it's incomplete at the 48-yard line. And Eric Clemens, you have an injury update for Iowa State, and it's a costly one.
It is a costly one. Wide receiver Damian Gross has a left shoulder stinger. He's got an ice pack on it. He, of course, will not return for the game. He did have a pretty big 50-yard pass reception earlier, but nothing much has helped their offense in this one.
And that hurts, considering that Nebraska has not been scored upon at homecoming since October 21st, 1995. Kansas State was the last team to do it. They did it in the fourth quarter. Crouch can only sit, watch, get a little smile. Didn't even have to put the makeup on tonight. He could have left the black stuff off the face. Didn't need it. Diedrich, right side, big hole, crosses the 50 down to the 45 to the 44-yard line. Pick up of about 10 on the play.
You know, you look at Crouch now. Why would a guy wear the black underneath his eyes for a night game. And that's not even the old shoe polish like you and I used to wear. Those are patches now that they put underneath their eyes. Look at that stuff on his cheek there. Those are patches. I guess it's so when he goes out tonight, he doesn't have to worry about getting all the shoe polish off his face. I used to think that shoe polish was cool.
I thought it was too. Let the women know you played. Up to the 42-yard. I think I liked it though when Dan Hayden felt the kicker had it on. Look at everybody's got it on.
They all got it.
Brought down by James Reed.
In fact, Eric Clemens has it on, I think.
That stuff right there is a patch that they get. Now, some guy who invented that is probably a millionaire right now.
Oh, man. How simple. We should just put literally the shoe polish or the black dirt or whatever it was. You got a patch so you can breathe. You got a patch so you can see. Whatever. Joe Crispin at quarterback, 2:08 left in the third, 2nd down and 8. Even though you have a reserve quarterback, they're still moving the football because of this man. Somebody lost their head. Bounding around, Kevin Durandi better put the helmet back on. That could hurt. Robert Brannon on the stop. What's this do, though, for Nebraska? Now, they have a week off before they play Texas. And, of course, coming up next year on Fox Net, the Ducks and the Bruins. Steve Physiak, Tom Ramsey, James Lofton standing by. But for Frank Solich, he has a week off before he plays the Longhorns down in Austin.
It's the perfect time. It's the middle of the year. You get a couple guys that have minor injuries healed up, and you get clicking, and you get ready for a run at the championship here at the end of the year.
3rd down and 6 passes incomplete.
The other thing that you do, Ron, is that you self-scout yourself. You get a chance to really evaluate your first 6 games of the year and say, from a tendency standpoint, we've done this too much, not enough here. You tweak a couple things in your offense and your defense. But the one thing you don't tweak is those guys right there, because they're playing great, those black shirts on the Nebraska defense. You continue to get those guys to run around, which I'm sure Charlie McBride, George Darlington, and the defensive coaches will do.
Technically, this is the first punt for Dan Haydenfeld. There's a penalty on his other first one. Strong-footed kicker. They're calling a fair catch. Hits Nebraska right at the 5-yard line. Bounds into the end zone. They can't come up with it. They did everything they could. DeJuan Gross tried to run it down. Couldn't get the speed to get it. And we have a timeout. 1:16 left to play in the 3rd quarter. And Nebraska leads Iowa State by a bunch. Now the Nebraska faithful like what they see so far tonight with 1:16 left in the 3rd. The Huskers lead 42-0. They led 28-0 at halftime, and you can see the top 25 today. Kansas State a winner over Kansas. A&M takes care of Baylor down at College Station. Texas over Oklahoma at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. That was a good football game. Walker back in at quarterback. He's going down the middle. He is going deep, and it is almost intercepted. Intended for Kenyatta Burris. Deion Booker on the coverage, and you can see total defense. How about the Big 12 teams?
Well, you see 6 teams. Nebraska at 3, Iowa State at 5, Okie State, A&M, Kansas State, and Texas, all in the top 10 in the nation in total defense. That's just outstanding. It just shows you what kind of athletes play on defense in this Big 12. I think this is, they quote, a defensive league right now.
2nd down and 10. Final 69 seconds of the 3rd. Inside, and again, the black shirts are there to wrap up Aaron Davis, who is a little frustrated at this point. Next Saturday, it's an exciting day of college football. Most of you will see UAB, University of Alabama Birmingham, the NCAA leading punt returner, and Rod Regis Brooks, averaging better than 23 yards a kick, also has 5 interceptions, will take on Cincinnati. Then Iowa State and Missouri. Artie and I and Eric Clemens will visit Columbia, Missouri, as the Cyclones try to rebound from this, and Missouri tries to rebound from their loss to Colorado. All getting underway at 3:30 Eastern time on Fox Sports Net. Dan McCarney knows that he can still win some football games in the Big 12, and Walker will call a timeout. That'll be an important game for both Missouri and Iowa State. 24 seconds left in the 3rd. Timeout's been called. Walker rolling out for Iowa State, throws across the field, and the pass is complete at the 38-yard line. J.J. Moses, his first catch of the evening, and that was a pretty good effort by Derek Walker.
Yeah, because Jamie Burrow, number 48, the middle linebacker, just leveled Walker on that. Walker out on the corner, Burrow scraping to containment, just leveled him.
12 seconds left in the quarter. Moses has been very quiet tonight, the junior out of Waterloo, Iowa. That's his 6th reception of the year.
You know, against Kansas State, Ron, he ran 4 reverses for over 60 yards, so they uncorked him, so to speak, against Kansas State. Have been very unsuccessful at being able to do that tonight.
Well, the clock says 3 zeros, which means the end of the third quarter, and the officials wanting to make sure about that. See if they...
Seconds on the clock.
Now they're going to add some time. Started the clock after the first down, and weren't supposed to do that. Well, Dan McCartney says, nah, you don't have to put it on. Go ahead. Derek Walker engineering the attack. Now it's the end of the quarter. Eric Crouch has had a good game throwing the football and also running the pigskin. He has a touchdown run, and his team leads 42-0 with 15 minutes left to be played. As we head to the final quarter, Nebraska leading Iowa State 42-0, along with Artie Gigantino and Eric Clemens. I'm Ron Thulin, and he gets the most creative award for tonight. First homecoming experience.
Get that young man some free tickets and a flight to Los Angeles.
When was the last time you saw somebody wear a tank top in Lincoln in October, though, too?
But a good sign. Very creative.
Great weather. Walker keeps it right side, looks for a block as he crosses the 50 down to the 48-yard line, and they are in Nebraska territory, and that's good enough for a first down.
That's what the coaches want to do with Walker right there, almost like Kansas State did a year ago with Michael Bishop. Allow him just to pick a place to go run the football, because he's big, he's strong, and he's athletic and obviously fast.
From Aldine High School, just outside of Houston.
You know, that's one of the trends right now in college football, allowing the quarterback to run the football from the shotgun formation.
Couldn't do it with Todd Bandauer the last couple of years. More of a straight drop-back passer. Rosenfels and Walker give him a little more versatility in that QB position. Walker's pass is complete. It'll actually be a loss of about 3 on the play.
Now, Jason Lohr that time made a great rush up the middle on Derek Walker. One thing about Lohr now, he's only a sophomore, but watch him right here, number 70. He's a backup, but he also has a black shirt, which means they regard him as a starter. 6'2", 280 pounds, and he had a great impact last year to the defense as a freshman. And his position coach is Charlie McBride, and Charlie loves him. He thinks he's got 3 starters in the middle there with Lohr, Warren, and Kaiser.
I like the word they use. He's a soldier.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
He's a big, strong, fast soldier.
Loss of 5, 2nd and 15. Look out. Fumble. Nebraska has it. They're advancing it. Goodbye. Joe Walker forced it. Des Moines Adams, the freshman out of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, with the recovery and the TD. And they can smile on the sidelines. That'll leave a mark on Derek Walker.
You're going to see Walker right here, number 25, come from the backside on a strong safety blitz. But you know what's great about that? He goes high up on Walker, which enables him to knock the football out of his hand. And obviously Adams picks it up and runs it in. The one thing about Nebraska's defense, they not only stop you, but they score.
Yeah.
You know, the special teams and the defense for Nebraska score points.
Well, the defense coming into this game has scored 16 points. They had a few more out of that. 13:32 left to play in the ball game. Nebraska about to hang half 100 on Iowa State. 49-0 is our score. 13:32 left to play in the ball game. Artie Gigantino joins me once again. And Artie, 3 or 4 weeks ago, there were so many questions about this Nebraska team. I think the last few weeks, the questions have been answered.
Yeah, because right now they're in a groove on offense, number one. But number two, they score points on special teams and on defense. Their special teams tonight have been dominant. Their defense is flying around all over this football field.
Well, Iowa State getting the kick, getting up to about the 25-yard line, and once again the red jerseys surround everybody. Kenyatta Burris on the return, and Iowa State will take over, trailing 49-0.
You know, you look at Nebraska, they've blocked 2 punts this year, 2 fumble recoveries, and 2 sacks tonight. It's just amazing, the statistics that they gather on defense here at Nebraska. And you know, speed kills, and when you're fast on defense, you make a lot of big plays, and you cause a lot of turnovers.
First down and 10. Rosenfeld's back in at quarterback. Davis, that is the story of the evening. Prior to that run, he only had 40 yards running the football. And it has been the black shirts surrounding the white shirts.
And you're going to see DeJuan Gross, number 5. He just blanks out number 86, Chris Anthony, because Walker is looking down the field for him. But look at number 25, Joe Walker, just stripped the ball from behind. It resulted in a touchdown and a sack because of the great coverage downfield. Charlie McBride gets a lot of credit for the great defense here at Nebraska, but he gets a lot of good help. And secondary coach George Darlington is one of the best secondary coaches in all of this country in college football.
3-step drop. Rosenfeld's complete to Brantley. Stiff arms his way up to the 50-yard line, and that's where they'll mark him out. Brantley did not have a catch prior to tonight, and that is his reception. Rosenfeld's nice job on the 3-step.
You know, when you're a coach like Dan McCartney and you're in a situation like this when it's 49-0, you have to make a decision. What do you want to get out of the fourth quarter? Now, I know Dan doesn't want to get anybody injured, and I know he wants to try to continue to execute his offense, but you also want to get some of your younger players some experience in this type of situation. And right now, he hasn't substituted very much, but I'm sure you'll see it as this fourth quarter goes on.
Rosenfeld's the pump fake, throwing deep, has a man, and it is intercepted, but a penalty flag has been thrown. DeJuan Gross with the interception. Cutting across the field, and he is going to be dragged down at the Iowa State 45-yard line.
You know, Ron, the way everybody's walking and the way everybody's pointing, it looks like it's going to be pass interference against Gross.
And that is exactly the call. That would have been Gross's first interception of his career.
And you see the matchup again, Gross against Chris Anthony, and he pushes him a little bit there at the end. I mean, it's both players competing for the football. Anthony, 6'3", Gross 5'10". Gross gives him a little bit of a shove there at the end. I think that was the correct call, and Frank Solich doesn't like it.
He doesn't like the call, but I think looking at the replay, like you said, both players were battling, but Gross was the second one, and he got caught.
It's a fine line in all defensive holding downfield. Very, very difficult for the officials to call and be accurate all the time. That time, even the officials were accurate.
Only the 4th time this evening that Iowa State's been able to get into Nebraska territory. Davis breaks up over the middle. Look out. Cuts back looking for the end zone. Touchdown, Iowa State. Only the 2nd rushing touchdown given up by the Nebraska defense this year.
Nebraska got caught in a blitz that time, and then the gap was created inside. You're going to see Davis now gets the ball, and he cuts it back, and he does some nifty open field running there to make a touchdown.
35 yards on the touchdown run by Darren Davis. That'll help the stats a little bit. 49-6 with 12:10 left to play in the ball game. Mike McKnight will get a chance to kick the extra point. Splits the uprights.
The extra point is
Now, Darren Davis had 42 yards prior to that touchdown run, but he adds to the total. But Nebraska still leads by 40. Oh, baby, Misties.
Play Misties for me. You know what? They're still recovering from the last time Kellen was there. They ran out of steaks.
Last year, the 98 season. He is down. Put his knee down. You can stop. Larry Henderson put his knee down and got caught. And Eric Clemens on the sideline with a little National Car Rental game summary. Eric?
I tell you what, you don't need a game summary to tell you that it's Nebraska dominance. Look at Eric Crouch. 3 touchdowns. I mean, he just gets better every week. Darren Davis pads the stats a little bit with that touchdown run. 2 passing plays over 20 yards for Iowa State, but too many penalties. They've shot themselves in the foot a lot tonight, fellas. That's why we have that 49-7 score. And steak doesn't sound too bad, does it?
It doesn't. Not a bit. Some of that good red meat in us. 12:03 left to play. Nebraska takes over 1st and 10 from their own 9-yard line. And the Iowa State defense standing tall on that one. Reggie Hayward still getting some playing time. Diedrich the ball carrier. Hayward on the stop.
You know, you talk about improving the athletes on the defense and offensive line for Iowa State. Reggie Hayward, number 15, is going to be an all Big 12 player this year for Iowa State. He's big, he's strong, he's athletic. He was a very highly recruited young athlete out of Dolton, Illinois for Dan McCartney and his Iowa State Cyclones. Keep your eye on 15. He's a very good player.
Diedrich showing how he can stop and change directions, but we have a penalty flag thrown right in the middle of the pack, which will probably mean holding against the Cornhuskers of Nebraska. You know, we wonder what happened to Eric.
You know? Look at this guy now. How does he do that?
I don't know how Eric got in there. That's pretty decent. That's...
Little Red. Little Red's a little fired up. Is he dancing? Is that a dance move?
I don't know, or he's sick. One of the two.
When the offensive line from Nebraska gets graded, they get graded in about 4 areas. One is pancakes. One is how many sacks you allow. Third thing is penalties that you commit. And the fourth thing is the perfect plays in which you execute the offensive scheme. Milt Tenneper, the offensive line coach, is not going to like that last penalty.
Not a bit. They try the right side, and again, Iowa State stacks them up. Maybe a pickup of 3 on the play. We still have more football coming straight ahead here on FoxNet. Immediately following our game, we head you out to the Pac-10. As Kevin Frazier mentioned, it is a must-win for both Oregon and UCLA. Steve Physiak, Tom Ramsey, and James Lofton are standing by for Pac-10 action right here on Fox Sports Net immediately following our game. Pac-10 still, that's a toss-up, isn't
Both
it?
coaches, Mike Bellotti at Oregon and Bob Toledo at UCLA, are very offensive-minded. I would look for another 1,000 yards maybe tonight between both of those teams, because right now they're both not very good on defense, but both excellent on offense, not only in scheme, but in the way the plays are called by those two head coaches that are offensive-minded.
Frank Solich, nothing tricky about this as we head to the 10-minute mark of the 4th quarter, keeping it on the ground. And again, it is the Diedrich carry, Hayward on the stop combination. But this Nebraska offense under Frank Solich, his play calling so much different than when Tom Osborne did it. Of course, Tom did it for 25 years, plus 6 with Bob Devaney, and I think Frank's gotten into his own groove within his own personality.
Well, yeah, it's a complex, complicated, intricate offense, and people just think it's an option offense with a little bit of power, but not so fast. It's a very involved offensive football scheme.
Hayden Feldt set to kick it away, standing in his own end zone. Line drive, this should be returned, but they're going to let it bounce. And it'll go out, they mark it at the 38-yard line. Well, coaching the Nebraska Cornhuskers can be enjoyable if you're winning, and Frank Solich says he has enjoyed the experience so far.
Nebraska through my years as an assistant, through my year and a half as head coach. And I think the reason it's been that way is because of the players, their attitude, their approach to the game, and also our coaches, you know, their approach to the game and their attitude. I think we've got great chemistry here. The attitude has been tremendous, and with that in mind, it's enjoyable to come to work every day.
Now, when he was a running back coach, he had 9 NCAA rushing titles, 7 of the last 10, in fact. belong to a Frank Solich running back group.
You know, it's a group effort, though, here at Nebraska. Tom Osborne called the plays, like you said, for a long time. But Frank, as an assistant, helped refine this Nebraska offense, along with offensive line coach Milt Tenneper.
And you know, you talk about Tom Osborne, the great Tom Osborne, now retired, and you think about how good he was here. Well, Frank Solich can go 12-0 during the next 20 years. He'll be 75 years of age, and he'll still be 3 wins shy of what Tom Osborne accomplished at Nebraska, which is amazing.
And you know, and he started off now 14-4 as the head coach. Tonight it'll be 15-4. But the most important thing for him is he's 10-1, and he will be 10-1 at home.
Davis stays on his feet, cuts back, closes in on the 50-yard line up to about the 48-yard line. The first hit was put on by Ben Butenbach, the senior out of Hastings, Nebraska. And Davis looks like he will be about half a yard, maybe a yard short. Now, the executive producers of Fox Sports Net are Arthur Smith and Bill Borson. The coordinating producer of College Football Saturday is Roy Hamilton. Today's game produced by Mike Kelly, directed by Ken Fouts. College Football Saturday studio show was produced by Loy Maxson, directed by Joe Whitus. The Vice President of Field Operations is Andrea Jenkins. Thank you, folks. Third down, just about a yard. Davis spins, leans forward, and may have gotten it. Joe Walker put on the lick to start things off. Coming up from that rover back spot. Let's see where the spot is, and pretty lenient spot. First down, Iowa State.
You saw the spinning of Darren Davis that we talked about earlier in the broadcast. He does a great job when he makes contact of spinning out of tacklers. It's a Barry Sanders type move that I think this young guy has really perfected.
Well, he's over 100 yards, 117 yards on 18 carries unofficially, so he is only the second running back to go over the century mark. Of course, a lot of it coming on the touchdown run here in the fourth quarter. 3-step drop. Walker's going to have the quarterback draw. Stays on his feet. Crosses the 35 down the 45 down to the 39-yard line before he's knocked out of bounds by Mark Vedral, the sophomore out of Gregory, South Dakota.
And you see the athleticism there of Walker being able to take off. We commented before about Pete Hainer, the offensive coordinator, wanting to do things out of the shotgun formation with Walker, very similar to what Kansas State and Ron Hudson and Bill Snyder did with Michael Bishop a year ago.
He's got the speed. It must be a Blinn Junior College thing, huh?
Yeah.
Michael Bishop, of course, went to Blinn Junior. 7 minutes left to play in the ball game. Rosenfeld's now into the lineup. Throws it out on the flat. The pass is complete to Brantley. Brantley inside the 35, down to the 34-yard line.
You know, as we look at Walker, he obviously hurt a hand on that last play because the trainers were taking a look at it, and he came off the field on his own. So he either dinged a wrist or a hand or a finger there. You know, you look at the total yardage tonight, Nebraska's got 462. Obviously, Iowa State's got 267. But coming into this game, you know, Iowa State was averaging 434 yards a game, which was 19th in the country.
They fake the little trickery. They keep it to Davis. Bounces to the outside, to the 20-yard line, puts the shoulder down, and gets a couple more yards. Inside the 20 down to the 18-yard line. He's not afraid to put the shoulder down, is he, Artie?
No, it ought to be a great sound here in a second because that's contact. That's plastic on plastic.
And you know, the fact that the game is out of reach for all practical purposes for Iowa State, they haven't quit playing hard.
No, they haven't. And it's like I said before, I think Dan McCarney wants to establish something here in the fourth quarter that he can carry over into the Missouri game next week.
1st and 10, balls on the 18. Iowa State trying to get into the end zone for the second time. Wide open down to the 10-yard line. Chris Anthony, the junior out of Bettendorf, Iowa. Anthony had 3 catches coming into tonight's game. And he has 3 catches tonight, 4 catches tonight. So he's doubled his output for the rest of the season. Of course, the Ducks and the Bruins standing by, coming up next. Here on Fox Sports Net, stay with us for that. Complete day of college football.
Frank Solich, and you know, he said, hey, we need a week off, and they're going to get a week off next week. And like we talked about, he's going to use it wisely by getting some of these guys with small injuries back on their feet, back playing.
Hand off, Davis up the middle, fights his way down to the 1-yard line. That'll be a first and goal for Iowa State. And you know, it's funny that it's a blowout, but not many of the 77,000 have left Memorial Stadium. They're starting to kind of trickle out, but these people want to stay to the end.
Well, they love football here, obviously, and I don't know if the Nebraska fans are the best fans in the country, but I know this, there are no better fans than the Nebraska fans. These people love college football, and this is just an awesome, awesome arena in which to play college football.
Davis, touchdown, Iowa State. Darren Davis, 2 rushing touchdowns in the 4th quarter. And it's a 49-13, but he's not afraid to take a couple of hits. But he never gets knocked off.
No, he's not. I said, the guy, if you look at him, and besides the spinning and the toughness, he's got a wonderful balance for a running back. Doesn't get knocked off his feet, and that's a great characteristic for a running back to have. I mean, I really do believe it's got something to do with, number one, his body height. You know, he's only 5'8", but he's a good, solid 195, but also the wrestling background.
Well, Davis has a couple of touchdowns, and it's a 49-14 game. The Huskers with 5:11 left to be played. Juan Gross awaiting the kick of Iowa State as Iowa State trails 49-14. Stephen Noss will now kick it off, getting a little playing time. Has kicked a couple of point-after touchdowns so far, but now he's going to get his chance to kick it off and keep a look at one of the guys who's just running down the field hard trying to hit something. This will be Larry Henderson. And he is going to be tackled by the ankles at 13-yard line. But Nebraska has been dominant in all phases of the game, including specialty teams.
And, you know, special teams set the tempo as they block a punt here for a touchdown. 3rd punt block of the year. Also on offense, we talked about the diversity of this Nebraska offense, not just running the option, throwing passes, but then coming back when you have to with the quarterback, Eric Crouch, scoring on the option. And then big plays on defense. Not only making plays, but making and scoring touchdowns with their defensive unit. This is a complete football team at Nebraska.
Very focused football team. When you look at their practices are very efficient. There's not a lot of goofing off. And they're very, very focused. Christman stays at quarterback, hit as he throws it.
Ron, I think one of the things that's happened to them is that they were in a state of shock from what happened last year. They lost 4 games here last year, and that's totally unacceptable at Nebraska. So there was a rededication. There were 140 Cornhuskers in Lincoln during the summer working out, and obviously not with the coaches, but in the weight room and working out on their own. So this is a rededicated, refocused football team, and that's why they're going to be 6-0 and very highly ranked this coming week.
Well, you have to go back 30 years to find another 4-loss season. Right side, Diedrich keeps his feet moving, gets up to the 25-yard line, less than Avey on the stop. That'll be good enough for a first down. Let's take a look at Nebraska's schedule. They have the off week, then they go down to Austin.
Well, you go to Austin, at Kansas, a big one against Texas A&M and Kansas State, both here, and then they go to Colorado. This team has got a chance to go undefeated this year. Now, obviously, they've got some hurdles along the way, but they have a chance.
Congratulations to Gary Barnett of Colorado. A little overtime win over Missouri today. Straight ahead running the football, closing in on 4.5 to play in the ball game. Jeff Waters on the stop, and the Iowa State defense, first and second teamers, still getting playing time. They're still in there, popping pads.
Well, the one area that Iowa State still cannot compete with Nebraska in is the depth. Iowa State does not have the depth that Nebraska does. Dan McCarney, one of the things he's trying to do at Iowa State is establish that walk-on program where a lot of players come as walk-ons, end up on scholarships that Nebraska has.
Oh, yeah, you think of the great walk-ons here in Nebraska, including guys like I.M. Hip. And this man, Diedrich crosses the 40, shoved out of bounds at the 43-yard line. Well, this Tuesday at 8 o'clock on Fox Sports Net is Hardcore Football. This week's guest is former Seattle Seahawks running back Kurt Warner, playing in the Seahawks all-time Penn State rushing leader with 3,398 yards. It's Hardcore Football Tuesday at 8 o'clock on Fox Sports Net. Check your local listings. And he watches Hardcore Football.
And they start him young here in Lincoln.
Well, I'm telling you.
He probably knows the whole team by heart.
Exactly. Crispin rolling out, looking for someplace to go. Throws the pass, incomplete. Iowa State, pretty decent coverage. But young Joe Crispin out of Longmont, Colorado, getting some playing time, and the coaches told us that they wanted to make sure he got some reps tonight.
You know, one of the questions that people would ask Frank Solich here is, why are you throwing? You're ahead by 49-14 with 3 minutes to go in the game, but it's the only way a young quarterback can get game-like experience throwing the football instead of just handing off. And again, some of those people out there would question Frank Solich for doing, but all he's trying to do is develop his young players.
Diedrich's developing. He is going to add to that total. Cuts inside to the 50, down to the 47-yard line, and that'll be close to yet another Nebraska first down. They may have 3 100-yard rushers tonight. Buckhalter has already crossed it. Alexander's already crossed it. Diedrich closing in on it. They only had 1 coming into tonight in the previous 5 games.
Well, the other thing that they're going to get tonight is over 500 yards total offense. Coming into the game, Nebraska had been averaging 378 yards per game, which is 54th in the country. Very un-Nebraska-like. But they're going to get over 500 here tonight if they haven't already.
Well, unofficially, they're at 496, we see.
Make that 500.
There you go, right there. Diedrich up to the 35-yard line before he's corralled. Pickup of 12 on the play, so he's at 86 yards carrying the football. Just a machine. That's what this offense is.
You know, and one of the reasons, though, it's a machine, I believe, is the way they practice. We talked about it before. They have 3 drills going on at one time, so all their players can participate instead of the younger guys, the second and third teamers, standing around watching the first teamers all the time. The repetitions that they get at practice makes this offense machine-like.
Well, James Reed stops Diedrich. Maybe lost a yard on the play, and you can see the total offense thus far, 502 to 301. Iowa State fairly balanced.
You know what, though? That's over 800 yards in one game for both teams. That is a lot of yardage in a football game. And Charlie McBride's not going to like that number 301 because coming into the game, Nebraska had only been given up 210 yards per game.
Well, that's going to be a substitution penalty on Nebraska. They had a couple of youngsters coming in and out, not sure where to go, and Charlie McBride can only watch. You know, it wasn't the defense, so he's not worried.
No, you know what he wants, though? All defensive coaches in games like this, they want the offense to stay on the field. They just want them to stay on the field and get the game over with, and that's why Charlie's a little bewildered there. He wants that offense to stay on the field.
And you can see from the look on Frank Solich's face, he doesn't like those kind of mistakes by his team, even with a big lead. Keep it on the ground. Diedrich just lowers the head, lowers the boom, gets up to the 35-yard line for a pickup of 6.
One of the most difficult things for a head coach to coach is penalties, because players don't commit penalties on purpose. They don't go out consciously saying, hey, I'm going to commit a foul here. It's one of the toughest things for a head coach to coach is penalties.
Well, Diedrich has 91 yards running the football and 97 yards running the football, and he's been taken out on 3rd down and 9 for the Huskers. 1.5 to play in the football game. Clock not moving fast enough for Iowa State, I'm sure. Trying the run side, trying to get some running room.